So there was a day, I remember the day exactly. It was November 22nd. I was driving to the gym and I kind of was speaking out loud, and I was like, I haven't acknowledged God in the last year, and manifestations to come to reality were a result of not acknowledging God and not appreciating kind of my roots and kind of appreciating, everything that He's done for me up to this point and the guidance that I've gotten. And I acknowledged the fact that I wasn't acknowledging God and I wasn't appreciating my spirituality for like a whole year. And I said, if you give me a sign, I will follow the sign blindly. Literally that night, I got a text from my uncle.
Have you heard that before? The
Yeah,
Man in the Arena?
I'm very familiar with Man in the Arena.
What does that do to you?
I'm gonna be a little blunt to start, but it means stop talking shit, basically. You know what I mean? That's why people go through days without eating when they're stressed, because their gut gets so inflamed. Well, what does science say about that, right? Pharmaceutical, anti-inflammatory, but then what about the side effects of that too?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So these are all metrics that need to be taken into consideration. These are all metrics that can be navigated through using nutrition.
He's juicy, can get comp ready, but also juicy like he did for Nicole, hitting the bands like it's backstage at a comp. But this is a wedding, dressed in a wedding dress. He's Lionel Messi, Tiger Woods on the soccer field, all the golf greens, but I think more so in the gym and on stage. Doesn't mind a little humor. He's done Olympia once. Next step, Bumstead, head to head. Please help me welcome Tyler Juicy Johnson. How are you, buddy?
Good, man. Thank you for having me. That was probably the best intro that I've ever gotten. So I really appreciate the opportunity to be on, and I'm excited to talk to you.
All right. Thank you so much. Look, as I mentioned, you know what? Introduce yourself. I've never done a real introduce yourself. So in a few words, who is Tyler Johnson?
Well, currently I'm in IFBB Pro in classic physique. I turned pro in 2019 through the CPA in Canada. I won the overall at Canadian Nationals in 2019. I started out in men's physique back in 2013. So I did men's physique from 2013 to 16, then classic physique from 2016 and currently. I did my first pro show in 2021 after the pandemic and everything. And then I got fourth there. And then I did my second pro show, Toronto in June 2022. I won that show, and then I went to the Olympia. I didn't place there. I don't know where I was, but yeah, I'm 30 years old. I just moved from Ontario. I was living like near Niagara Falls, like in the Niagara region. I was training at Pure Muscle, and I moved out to BC in Victoria, and I just moved here like, I don't know, 2 weeks ago. And yeah, that's my current situation right now.
Okay. And what's it like 2 weeks there?
It's been phenomenal. Like life-changing at this point. I walked on the island, and so they don't have other male pros here. They only have like maybe 2 or 3 female pros. Yep. And so they take bodybuilding pretty seriously here. This is a big like health and fitness kind of area, like being out in BC. And is that why you went? I was going to ask you the why. Oh, dude, I got here by accident almost. Like I'm not like, this happened November 30th was the day that I got a text. So I'll tell you the story. So I'm a big believer in like spirituality and everything. And I got to a point where I felt kind of lost where I was in my situation. I didn't know like where I even wanted to live. Like my current situation at the time was not very convenient. I was driving an hour to the gym, and
that's a long drive. Yeah.
I don't mind driving, by any means, but it was like
still long.
Time, expensive, just things, it just wasn't convenient. It was something I was willing to do because at the end of the day, I love my job, and I lived where I wanted to live, but I just kind of felt a little bit lost, and there's directions that I'm not sure I want to go in for other business ventures, and just there's so many things that are kind of like I had question marks. And so there was a day, I remember the day exactly. It was November 22nd, and I was driving to the gym, and I kind of was speaking out loud, and I was like, I haven't acknowledged God in the last year, and I feel like the lack of manifestations to come to reality were a result of not acknowledging God and not appreciating kind of my roots and kind of appreciating, you know, everything that he's done for me up to this point and the guidance that I've gotten. And so I had a day where I'm just like, God, I need a sign right now. And I acknowledged the fact that I wasn't acknowledging God and I wasn't appreciating my spirituality for like a whole year. And I said, if you give me a sign, I will follow the sign blindly. I will not question it. Because as soon as you start to question, your ego starts to come in and starts to look for the more convenient option, right? So
that's my problem.
I was like, I'm going to do this blindly. So God, like I did that 2 years ago and it changed my life completely. And so here I am again. And you know, God is always there for you at the end of the day. And so I asked for a sign, and literally that night I got a text from my uncle who said, hey, my rental's available January 2nd. Do you want it before I put it on the listing? And this was November 30th. Or sorry, it was November 22nd was the day I actually saw all these ones, like synchronized ones. Yeah. And I was like, whoa, that's weird. Like, you know, it signifies new beginnings. It's a spirituality thing, you know, whatever. It's like an affirmation, right? Yeah. And then it was 8 days later. 8 days later, I was asking God for a sign, and I that day, that very night, I got a text from my uncle who lives in Victoria, and he's like, "Hey, my rental's available if you want it." And I was looking up flights to Victoria that day, just to come here for like 3 or 4 days, a little vacation, little reset. And I put my phone away, and 4 hours later, I get a text saying, "Come out here and live." And that was a month and a half ago. So within a month, I had packed up my shit and was ready to go. But funny enough, actually, so that whole thing happened in less than like 4 weeks, basically, like literally just the month of December. Yep. And I had to decide if I wanted to move. So I didn't even know if I wanted to move yet. I decided if I wanted to move, I had to figure out a situation with my current landlord. Like I had to get rid of my apartment. And I had to figure out how to pack all my stuff and then ship it out to BC and figure out how to get myself there. And so it was kind of a lot in a month. And I packed my whole apartment. I was ready to go on New Year's Eve. I was going to drive out there. And my car battery died. The moment I was supposed to leave my apartment to go to my parents' house to stay the night, to then leave in the morning to drive, we packed everything. We're ready to go. My car battery died. And it was like, you know, pretty cold out, not freezing, but it was like, you know, negative something and -2, -3 sort of thing. And so we were like, your car's not going to make it across the country. There's no way. And so then the next morning I woke up really, really, really sick. So I ended up pushing my move date back like 2 weeks.
When you say sick, did you pack the house? Did you sleep in the car?
I slept at my parents' house, thankfully. Like they have an extra room. And
but what I'm alluding to, what happened that night when the car wouldn't start? Like
I stayed at my parents, so I had packed everything. My apartment was packed up. Everything's gone. Everything I need in storage. Everything was ready to go. And then I'm literally about to leave my apartment. We're gonna go drive to my parents, have dinner, go to sleep, take off in the morning. And my car just was like, nah, you're gonna stay for another 2 weeks. And listen, I see it as a sign too. You know, at the end of the day, there's reasons that I could have stayed, and you know, it gave me an extra 2 weeks at home with my family and friends, and that I didn't feel rushed. I didn't feel, you know, like I still got to pack. Like I was stressing out more about packing and getting into storage, and so that I didn't have to worry about that. I had 2 full weeks to just relax and kind of mentally prepare for the move, and then, you know, here I am, and everything kind of went pretty smoothly once I got here.
Hey guys, thank you everyone for supporting us on Muscle Talks podcast. What I'd really like is for you guys to hit the subscribe button. Why hit the subscribe button? It just lets us get a bigger reach, a bigger audience, and also some of the greatest guests. You've probably already seen we've had a few Olympians on, and we're striving to actually get right up there on the 1, 2s, and 3s. Yes, possibly even C-Bum on here. So guys, subscribe, come on a journey with us with Muscle Talks. Now let's get back to the podcast.
I guess what I want to ask you is what went through my head, because I have to say that's a lot of guts. And I'll tell you why it's guts to me, because I've never moved out of my state, out of Sydney. I'm in Sydney, Australia. I was born here. And I always look at even my parents who migrated from Greece to Australia. I look at you guys moving from state to state, and I see other people coming to all around the world. And I think the courage to just leave a place, you don't know your neighbors, you don't know the streets. And I guess what I want to ask you is, are you a professional PT, trainer, coach? Is that what your profession is, or what is your profession?
Yeah, my profession is a coach. I guess I should have said that in my intro, but I coach for a living. So this is my brand, Ascension Fitness.
Yes.
Yeah, so I coach everyone, like lifestyle, competitors at every level, pro,
I saw that. I saw
Olympia
that. But
level, Arnold's, masters pros.
have you got Abby? Is it Abby you got going into Arnold?
Yeah, Abby Bolton. So she's a fitness pro. She's an IFBB pro in the fitness category, and she's doing the Arnold Classic in 5.5 weeks, I think, just under 5.5 weeks.
We're launching her podcast in the next few. When's Abby being launched, Chris?
I was wondering. I was looking for her pictures.
Abby could be on next week.
Oh, sweet. I was looking for it. I was like, I could have swore she told me she did this podcast.
She did this podcast, and it was amazing.
That's
and
awesome.
she was great. She was actually, like, you all you guys are great that come on the podcast, but some people are extra special. I think not to coax you on, the more the people engage into themselves. I'm a vulnerable guy. I like people that are vulnerable. It doesn't mean I'm weak or strong. I just like getting in there and being a wingman to people when we're talking. I think my question wanted to be, so because I guess you're also an online coach, and where we are today in this modern day, what about the people you had in person? Like, did you have people that you trained at gyms in person from where you were living, and did you have to make a shift and coach them out of knowing you're going to do them online? How did you do that move?
So the only people I worked with in person were online clients. So if they're already an online client, I would then PT them in person if they chose to.
Yep.
So I'm planning on not moving back, but visiting. I'm like, my parents are there, and my mom would literally kill me if I didn't visit. So I'm gonna visit.
Yes.
So when I visit, I'll go for a handful of days or a week or something, and then that way I can kind of like let my clients know I'll be there, and then we can set something up if I'm there, and I'll meet them at Pure, and go from there. I do plan on going back, so it's something that I just kind of have to navigate, but I also want to expand, the branding a little bit out here as well, and kind of make some shifts here,
What was going on? I mean, like I said, we segue. I haven't even gone to my questions yet. But what was the thing? What was it that you needed? What was it that moment when you're driving and you needed God to help you, even though He's always kind of been there? You use Him as your not just anchor, as your gauge for truth and justice, and being strong enough to deliver on promises to Him, not to us. So my question is, where were you at the time when you've done all these comps, you've been on stage, you are trying to build this business, but something tells me you're not happy with you at the moment? Something's going on. What was going on?
A lot of things, man. This was not a good year for me, and I don't mean that in a bad way either.
Why?
Because just with, I felt like my business was a little bit stagnant. I felt like I was very reactive to life rather than I wouldn't say in control, but I wasn't observing. I was reacting to things rather than step back and being observant of what's going on. And as you observe, then you gain clarity. And as you have clarity, then you can respond to the world accordingly. But when you're reactive, then you're just like, it's an immediate emotional response to everything that's going on. And I just
at the moment. Go on.
I felt really disconnected from myself, and I felt like I was making decisions. It just didn't align with me. And I was doing things that I was like, it's almost like lying, but it's like, it's just not in alignment with what God is, like the all-encompassing truth, which is the truth of the truth. It doesn't matter what I say or you say.
It's the truth of the truth.
The truth is the lens of God, right? So if I started to be real with myself, and I'm like, I don't think I've been acting out of the lens of God. I think I've been trying to act out of an ego lens. And so I just started confronting myself as to why I let that happen. And, I see a lot of reasons as the saying where you take one step back and 2 steps forward. I looked at it like that. I had a really good 2 years. When I surrendered to God the first time, I said, I'm going to do everything you tell me to do, meaning I'm not going to live a life where I lie. I'm not going to live a life out of alignment. I'm going to do all the right things. I'm going to get all my meals in. I'm going to get my sleep in. I'm going to turn down social events to get my sleep in. I'm going to dial it in, because my goal was to get to the Olympia. This was January 2021. And by December 2022, I was on the Olympia stage. And I told myself, if somehow my life turns around a complete 180, which it did, I said I would, believe. I would start believing that God is good. And not only would I believe, I would then, work at least in some way to spread that message. And So yeah, I just felt not in alignment.
So that moment you were driving, is that where you felt like, was that your, I'm not going to say, it's not about darkest point. What I'm saying is that the point where you went like, why am I not happy? Like, what is going on here? Why isn't it all working financially?
Yeah.
Like, why the why me story, the poor me story, which we all go through. I'm trying to say to you is that what it was? It was like 2020. Let me just, because let's say 2023 wasn't the year you wanted. You said something about your business, probably something about yourself. But with guessing, I'm just going to guess, and I'm a little bit older than you, and I'm not going to use because I'm older, I'm wiser. But I have to say, one thing I'm happy for you is that you mentioned God. Tops, perfect. You know, you're okay now. You're okay. The one thing is with God is it's not necessarily what the rewards you think it will be. There'll be rewards, there'll be money, there'll be everything, but it's not the way you think it will be, because if you go by your plan, it ain't going to happen. But if you go by His plan, it will work. But most importantly, I think what I wanted to say to you is the world around us in business, we gauge ourselves on people. Once you fucking dump people and don't gauge on them, because I'm going to tell you, and I keep saying in every podcast I was telling Chris, 95% of people are flawed. The 5% that you can't find and don't see much of, they're the ones that are actually doing something. And inside that, not all are succeeding completely. So what you have to try to do is get yourself believing that the facade and the people around you are not they're not succeeding. Firstly, believe that. Not that you don't want it to succeed. Hear me out. I want everyone to succeed.
Trust me, I get it.
Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to say. So that's why now I think you're ready. I think you're ready.
Listen, I'm going to give a little story on that, because you're right. So where I come from in Ontario, and I don't want to say anything negative or whatever, it's just a different kind of perspective is what I'm learning when I'm out here, is the people in Ontario are more, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but a little more selfish, meaning that they're a little more like me focused. How can I get the most out of you to help me? Yeah. I want to benefit myself, so I'm going to look for people that will benefit me. But I moved out here and I've been here for 2 weeks. Gym membership covered, supplements covered, content already created. These are things that I've been looking for in Ontario with solid individuals, and I just didn't feel like I was getting there. Whereas I come here and they're like, I'm not joking. This is a real conversation. This was like 2 weeks after I maybe thought I might move. Haven't even decided yet. I get a call from the gym here, and they're like, from a gym perspective, what can we do for you? How can we help you?
I love it.
I love it. Like, dude, I don't know what you're asking me, because like I just need to train, man.
Gotta bring it to
I don't know. I don't even know what to ask. I'm like, give me an example, because like I've never been asked this. I've never had a gym want to help me out, and so I just and like the people here are like, how can we help you? Like, how can we?
Love it.
You're sending me all these like barbers, trying to get me free barbers, like. It's different here. I'm not going to say better or worse or whatever. It just for me at this time in my life, I've been trying to make these moves with my business, with my career, with my bodybuilding on a personal level. I'm trying to make these moves that I'm trying to grow in life, and I've been trying to create circles, and it's creating circles of people who don't really want to grow all that much. They're the 95%. Yeah. I'm looking for the 5%, and I'm trying to make a 95%er into a 5%er. And it's not going to happen. And they're pulling me down as I pull them up, and then they're getting mad at me for not I'm giving them a hand, and they're trying to take my arm, right?
No.
So when I'm here, it's a completely different just mentality, and it was really overwhelming, if I'm being honest, because I'm like, I've been here for 3 days, and each day I've been here, I've gotten something that's benefited my life already, and so I've already met the right people. And you know, I did content today, which I haven't done that with anyone ever. I've never done what I did today with anyone ever in Ontario. So having the resources that I have here, I think are just for me as an individual, I think they're really beneficial. And, you know, I truly believe, and I'll stand on my guard for this, but I truly believe God led me here. I believe everything this past year fell through and didn't work the way it didn't work, specifically to lead me into being here. And, you know, at the end of the day, I accept it, and I'll roll with it, you know?
Well, before I go into the man in the arena, I've got a quote from Theodore Roosevelt. But what I've learned with, not because I know everyone's out there. I always tell people, if it's not God, choose Mother Nature, and if it's not Mother Nature, choose energy force. Choose something above
It's
yourself.
a concept. I want to be clear about that too. I'm not a religious I'm not a religious person. I'm not pushing Christianity. I'm not pushing
No.
what
But you need an external. You need something
Sure.
bigger than you, because if you bank on yourself, forget it. So I get where you're going from, and I wanted to say
the ego will have you convinced that you're in control.
I know.
But God is in control, and you can access God through your soul, through your gut, through your intuition, whatever you want to call it. The answer's always there.
Well, about 2 weeks ago, I make desserts. I let you know, and I made a tiramisu, right? And I made a tiramisu with my daughter, and I did it on a TikTok live on my personal. And one of the girls that's on my TikTok live said, "Oh, can you make me one for my birthday?" I didn't even know this person. I mean, I know her. And you know what I said? I said, "Yeah, I will."
Of course.
And then I said to myself, why the fuck? I can't be fucked. Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And it was about the day before her birthday. And I said to myself, why should I make this dessert? And then I realized this. The only reason I'm going to make this dessert, which is for her, it's all about her. But the reason I'm going to make this dessert is I just don't want to be like everyone else, which means I don't keep to my word, and my word is with God. And at the end of the day, who cares what the reward is? Me doing it. That's the reward for me handing it over. Other than that, I don't really care. So
Are you fat up or fed up? Tired of boring food? We just cooked this from our What Should I Eat cookbook. It's also on an ebook, making it more affordable for you. So get your copy at threeog.shop.
sometimes we need externals to make us know that things have to be beyond ourselves, beyond our ego, beyond what we want. There's no what we want. If you're waiting for what you want, just go get it. I believe it's a go get, not a give it to me. So having said that, I'm going to start off with what does this quote tell you? All right, this is what we started with. The man in the arena. Goes for a little bit, but Theodore Roosevelt. Let me tell you about Theodore Roosevelt, because this is what I'm doing with the podcast. I've never done this before. He was born in 1958, died in 1919, and he was an American politician, president in 1901. He's the only one that won a Nobel Peace Prize, or the first outside of somewhere American to win a Nobel Peace Prize for some kind of Russo-Japanese war that he fixed. But anyway, the quote goes like this: "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer or deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly with ear, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error or shortcomings, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasm, the great devotion, who spends himself in the worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold, timid souls who never know what victory or defeat is." What does that tell you? Have you heard that before? Have you heard that before? The man in the arena?
I'm very familiar with Man in the Arena.
What does that tell you?
I'm gonna be a little blunt to start, but it means stop talking shit, basically. Listen, at the end of the day, the athlete's the athlete, and you'll never know what the athlete's going through until you go through it yourself. And until you go through it yourself, you better keep your mouth shut, because if you don't know, you can't talk. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. And I don't mean that just with bodybuilding. I don't mean that just with sports. I mean, if you don't know something, don't talk about it like you know it, because at the end of then all you're doing is sharing an opinion, and opinion means nothing. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like, listen, at the end of the day, there's one planet Earth, right? But there's 7.8 billion people on the world on the Earth, right?
That's right.
That means within one planet, within one Earth, there's 7.8 billion different worlds, different perspectives. Think you're ever gonna get 7.8 billion people to agree with you? Probably not. You know what I'm saying? So as an athlete, you know, you do take that into consideration, that the critics, knowing that the critics are people that have never been in the arena. Now, I mean, we can also, you know, there's ex-critic, you know, ex-pros who are, you know, who are doing their job or whatever, but
that's their job. But they've been in the arena.
No, but at the end of the day,
they've been in the arena.
We're the one in the arena. So, I mean, you'll never, and listen, I've been in the perspective of the critic too, when I was younger, and I'm saying, oh, why aren't these guys shredded? Why aren't these guys working harder? Blah, blah, blah. And then I get to that point and I'm like, you know, it's not that easy. On paper it is. I'm going to be honest. On paper, bodybuilding is the easiest sport that you could possibly ever do. It's a template. Follow the diet, follow the training program, go to sleep. But life is not the easy. Life is not an easy template, right? So
no. Well, I look at it like that. That one I look at is, why am I worried about who's fucking watching me?
Yeah.
And why the fuck am I worried about what people think of me? And there's two things.
They're behind you, chirping in your ear. They're chirping behind here, but my eyes are this way. If I start looking back and starting to listen, I'm now not focused on moving forward. Now my steps are going sideways instead of forward. You know what I'm saying?
100%. And two things. One, I think Alex Hormozi said this. Actually, was it Alex Hormozi said one thing, and Chris Wilkinson from Modern Wisdom said another. What they said was, we're listening to people, getting advice from people which actually live a life that we don't want. So we're actually listening to people's advice, and when we look at their lives, whether they've got a career, whether they're making money, but we don't want to be them because that seems like a boring way to do it in life. Whatever it is, the relation, they're not faithful, that they cheat or whatever, but we listen to their advice. Why are we listening to advice that people's lives we don't want to live? That's one. And two, I'll let you know that in 2 centuries, two generations time, no one's going to know that Tyler Johnson said a lie. No one's going to know that Tyler Johnson competed at, I mean, they might know their great grandfather competed in the Olympia, but they don't know, had you paid off your home? Did you buy a home? What kind of car were you driving? They don't know that you like your favorite dessert. They don't know anything about you. So what I mean is, everything will be forgotten. So I guess the man in the arena is, there is blood, sweat, and tears in it. And as long as, it's coming to my head, like Rocky Balboa said, it's not how hard you get hit, it's how hard you can get hit and keep getting up. And that's, I guess, what we do and what life is and what bodybuilding is. So with the first question, 6 months ago, you switched coaches to Luke Miller.
Yep.
No Switch Fitness. That's interesting. You switched with a no switch. Now, ironic. So tell us why. How long were you with your previous coach? Why do coaches need coaches for a comp? And how has the last 6 months been for you?
Yeah, so I was working with Chris Cito for the Olympia. I worked with him for 2 years, from January 2021 to December 2022. We got the job done. We got done what I wanted to, and I got to a level where I just felt I needed a little bit more involvement and a little bit more like engagement from the coach, in terms of just him wanting, like, I wanted to work with someone who had a little bit more stock in me. Meaning they're going to put a little bit more behind, like making sure I'm at the level that I need to be at. If I'm competing with guys like, you know, and Chris was a great coach, so I'm not saying anything bad, but like he was coaching Ramon as well, and who got second place in the world. So,
oh wow, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't blame him for wanting to put a little bit more stock into the second place person versus the 40th place person. So I just kind of want to get to a point where I'm like, I just want a coach who has a little bit more stock in me. And so I took 6 months off coaching. I just did my own thing for 6 months. I did great. I made a lot of progress, but I got to a point where I wanted to stop thinking. And this is where coaches need coaches, because especially if you know a lot more, like, there's more variables that you're trying to mess with now, and I'm thinking about all these variables at all times. it's not conducive for bodybuilding if you want to be a really good bodybuilder. A really good bodybuilder does very little thinking, very little stressing about what they're eating, about how they're training, about what they're training. Again, we have this huge library of knowledge, and then okay, but how do I apply it on myself? You know what I mean? I'm not looking at myself objectively. Trust me, if I was looking at myself objectively, I'd probably make a lot. I'd probably think of myself a lot better than I do, because I look at myself subjectively, and I'm only looking for the problems, right? Because that's bodybuilding. So yeah, I switched to Luke in June, and that was a whole weird kind of coincidence encounter as well. That was a whole thing where I just felt like, yep, everything led me to here, and I'm supposed to work with this person because he showed up, came to the gym, and he's from Texas. He was at my gym in Burlington at Pure Muscle for a weekend. He was there for like the Toronto Pro Show or something, and I just happened to be training at that time. Anyway, so he was like, I want to work with you. And I'm like, you know what? Funny enough, I wanted to work with a guy who wanted to work with me. Like that was my criteria of like guys I want to work with. If someone who sees me as an asset and wants me to grow and wants to work with me versus just as a client, right? So yeah, and it's been going well. We changed things up a lot. I used to be like a hard worker, meaning like 6 days on, 1 day off sort of thing. There'd be plenty of weeks I would go 7 days on. Tons of volume. I would be like 4 or 5 sets of everything. I'm doing tons of volume, tons of I love to train. I love to I'm an athlete from hockey and soccer. So like, I love to push intensity. Like, so bodybuilding for me is a little bit like not boring, but like slower. It's a slower pace for me.
It's slow pace. Yeah. It's
a slow pace. And I like to move. I like to do like high intensity sports and high intensity athletics. So that's why I love training. But then this guy's like, okay, well, it's not conducive to wanting to grow the amount of muscle that you want to grow. So you got to dial it back in terms of just volume, and like the sets are more intense for sure. Just less volume per session, and more rest day, a lot more rest days. I'm on a 2 on 1 off split.
2 on 1 off. Wow.
Yeah, it's different.
Well, makes me feel good right now because I actually trained 2 days ago and I took the day off yesterday.
Nice.
So
it's different for me. I'm not used to that. I'm used to like a whole week. Like I'll train all week and then like maybe take a weekend off. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't, and that's not to say I was never sore, but I would just like, I don't know, just train. I'm training, training day. I'm just going to train. It's like, if your body's not feeling it, it doesn't really matter all that much because I'm training. Okay. You know what I mean? So I've had to dial that back, and I've learned a lot working with him, and I've focused more on the intensity within the rep, meaning like each rep is completely dialed in. Like there's no like thinking, there's no like, I'm before each rep or each set, I'm locking everything in that needs to be locked in. I'm mentally locked in before I start the set. And then it's like every rep is an intention. I have an intention with every rep. And so changing things up a little bit to that style more it's been really beneficial. My recovery is amazing. I feel like I gain a lot easier. And like conditioning is really good because I don't eat off plan or anything. I just kind of do what I'm supposed to do. And that's why I like having a coach, especially in the off season. A lot of people, especially a lot of bodybuilders, a lot of pros, more amateurs than pros probably, but more amateurs think that they can do their off seasons themselves. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're not a pro, you're probably not going to have a good off season by yourself because you're not having that accountability. You're not having someone tell you that you're doing something wrong, and no one wants to be told they're doing anything wrong because everyone knows everything, right? So it's just one of those things where I had to surrender that control. The same way I surrendered to God, I also surrendered to having a coach in the off season. I'd never done that until I surrendered to God. Honest to God, I always, that was the night I was like, I surrendered to God. Give me peace. Give me a life that has no stress, meaning no lies, meaning I'm only in alignment. I'm only doing what God tells me to do. That night, I hired Chris Aceto for my off season.
I think as well, you have to, in bodybuilding, there's a lot of calculations. Let me hear me out. And also, let's face it, it's one of the toughest industries to make money in. Well, hear me out. Like, Jay Cutler's, one of the 5%ers out of all the bodybuilders out there. He's doing pretty well at the moment. C-Bum's doing pretty good while he's competing.
Pretty good,
but the thing is, I'm telling you, and I've told Chris that the only time this podcast, this business ourselves, is when people start collaborating with us. Once we start working as a team, we can explode. Because when you want people to know who you are, jump on podcasts. because they think you're famous. Like now you're famous in a sense. You're
Yeah.
not. I'm not famous. You're
I'm not
famous.
famous.
Yeah, but what I'm alluding to is when I watched you on TikTok, because I've reached out to you, I've spoken to you. But the thing is, I saw you as, and I still do. I saw you as a big deal, and the way you perceived yourself, presented yourself, I thought, this guy. I mean, Chris does believe if anyone puts down that they're a cleaner, but put pro at the end, I'll get the cleaner in because they're pro.
Yeah. Yeah.
they're a painter, pro. Okay, get them in, Chris. They're a pro. So Chris always tells me stop looking at the pro bit at the end of their name because I keep bringing people in. But I think what you're saying is that you've decided to really invest in yourself. It could cost you. It will cost you in other areas. The other thing is that you're also telling me, you correct me if I'm wrong, that just because you get a coach now for prep time, what happens if you're not ready for prep time? What you're saying is off season is your coach knows we're ready for prep time now. We've done the off season work. Now we engage into prep time. But let's say I came to you now and I said, can you coach me for a comp? You might say, man, I think we need a few more weeks of off season with you. We're not ready for prep time. Like whatever it is, now you and your coach, and you've invested and it's costing you, and you're taking a risk with everything. Now you're saying, well, this is the rock I haven't turned over. I'm going to go with it. And this is what I want. So am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I mean, with the coach, when I work with people and they're saying I want to do a show, 9 out of 10, I'm like, we need more time to develop the physique first, to do a recomp, meaning like burn some fat, gain some muscle, see what your shape looks like without all the extra, because whatever you've been doing probably has not been working fully. Meaning like most people eat out a lot and drink or party, and I'm not saying you can never do that. I'm just saying if you're trying to be a successful bodybuilder in any category, there needs to obviously be some sort of compromise and some sort of sacrifice, if you want to call it that. But in my opinion, every single competitor should be taking minimum 3 months before a prep to even just clean it up, just to get you prep ready, because prep is no joke in itself. So people think like, I'm just going to go do a show. I'm just going to go do a little cut and then do a show. And it's like, you're in for it, because it's not like that. It's not that easy. Once your hormones start to get affected, and once your gut health starts to get affected, once your sleep starts to get affected, it changes who you are. Now, if you're enhanced, what does that look like? What is your blood work going into the prep? What is your blood work going into the cycle? What compounds can you use? What compounds can you not use? Do you have you used the cycle before? Like, what's your inflammation like? What's your stress levels? What's your lifestyle like?
Oh my God, you're right, man.
These are variables that matter, and they matter a lot. And a lot of people do not understand. A lot of coaches don't get it. A lot of coaches don't understand what these variables are. They think just pay me your money, and I'll starve you, and I'll push the gear so that way you're on everything under the sun.
Oh, motherfuckers, you're right.
We'll get you in shape. We'll get you there, but at what cost, right?
No. I hear you, man. It's so true. I was just thinking about it. I was just thinking now, the stress level, the anxieties. Are you an anxious person? Are you a perfectionist? Can we calm you down a little bit? What do you like with lack of sleep? Like you said, gut health. Oh my God, the whole thing. You're right. It's, I hear you, man. You need to be prepared before being prepared. Meaning, like you said, the off-season part is important.
All the time. It's like, I'm priming you. I'm priming your body for a prep, so that way you can handle the prep. That way your body is ready, your hormones are ready, your inflammatory markers are ready, your gut health is ready. Everything's where it needs to be. You're sleeping good, your appetite's good, meaning your gut's not inflamed. You have a clear state of mind, like you have clarity, you don't have brain fog. You have energy through the day. Your training performance is good. Your recovery is good. All these metrics matter, and it's not easy. It's no joke. And it's funny because a lot of people think like books are the way, the science is the way. It's like science doesn't take into consideration the environmental factors of real life. You know what I mean? Like, what if you get in a fight with your partner? What does science say about that? Science doesn't tell you that your gut is going to inflame and completely close up. That's why people struggle if they have a fight, if they're in a argument, or they have stress. That's why they can't eat. That's why people go through days without eating when they're stressed, because their gut gets so inflamed. Well, what does science say about that, right? It might take a medical, pharmaceutical anti-inflammatory, but then what about the side effects of that too?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So these are all metrics that need to be taken into consideration. But I also want to highlight, these are all metrics that can be navigated through using nutrition and recovery and training. These three, or supplementation, natural supplementation.
Of course. Yes.
You know what I mean? Like these are ways to heal anything in the world. Like with some, you know, exceptions, of course, but for the majority, if you have an issue, more than likely you can heal it or treat it using nutrition, lifestyle changes, you know, things like that.
So what you're saying, because like I said, and I've discovered that it's amazing what I keep discovering, but it all starts with the gut, doesn't it? It's what we eat. And I think, again, let's look at the distribution of things. You want muscle quality. Okay, well, you're going to have to eat for that to be broken down from your stomach, and your stomach to create the amino acids, to distribute proteins, fats, and whatever sugars, whatever it does, the gut, it goes to the gut first. Yeah. Because we keep thinking the brain, but let's say the brain.
The brain is connected to the gut.
To the gut. That's exactly right. So what I'm saying is, for you to feed that muscle is the gut. So it's like a big light bulb moment for me. And you know, I've been walking around. I've been going for walks because I've lost about 14 kilos, got another 8 to go. Yeah. But what I've noticed is, ever since I'm starting to understand the gut, how inflamed the world is. People's joints, people's legs, people's bodies, people's guts, people's faces, like
everything.
Everything is so inflamed that we don't even look like humans. Yeah. What I mean by that is, I look around me and I'm going, what? This guy's bow-legged. Like me, I'm not, don't get me wrong. You have to put an element of exercise in. You have to stimulate the brain. But doing all that, you've got to put the right fuel in, which is your food. And I'm just I'm pleased I've worked this out, but I'm so shocked by it at the same time.
Can I tell you a story?
Yeah.
So that day, when I surrendered to God, that whole experience, I had the voice in my head, my intuition, whatever you want to call it, told me to contact my naturopath. I was having extreme. So for 30 years, I'm 30 years old. So for 30 years, I didn't know this up until, I don't know, 2 months ago. I have a hiatal hernia. So my stomach is in my chest. There's a piece of my stomach and it's lodged in my chest. So my esophagus is kinked right here. So the food doesn't go by very, very smoothly, right? I have reflux constant, like literally I lived my whole life with reflux all the time. But what happened was, my whole life I had gastroparesis. What that means is that the GI tract was paralyzed. So think of eating, you know, you just ate a full meal. And then, you know, sometimes if it's not a big meal, 30 minutes later, you're still kind of hungry. It goes through you. It wouldn't go through me. It's stuck there. So it would pile up and it would sit here at the top of my stomach. And I would feel like throwing up all the time. So I'm trying to feel this food. It's not moving though. So I went through this my whole life, through all my 20s, trying to bodybuild and my whole everything, like elementary school. Like I was a kid, I was a child, I was a toddler, I was a teenager, I was an adult, I was everything all through this experience. So when I contacted my naturopath, I told him, hey, this is what's going on. I've been feeling really, really like, I feel like I'm hungover. Like my head is pounding all the time. My face is so swollen. My neck was probably 4 times the size that it is right now. I'm walking around like this. I think this is normal.
You do look different from a lot of photos when I look back at you. Like you completely. You look actually younger. You look younger.
And I appreciate you saying that because it's a compliment I've gotten because
you look different. You look younger and your color is different. Everything about you is different. Yeah.
I appreciate you noticing that because that's gut health purely. Like that's nothing different in my life other than so when I contacted my naturopath, he's like, take 2 supplements. I will share them. DGL licorice root, which is natural anti-inflammatory for the gut. And then digest the bitters. It helps you digest the food better. Obviously, it just helps break things down. Within 2 weeks, and I switched my diet from eating fast food or junk or this or that or whatever I wanted to being like, well, what if I just eat my prep food? And I'm going to eat less food. I'm going to work my way up because I don't have an appetite. I have literally no appetite. I could eat 2 meals a day, 1 meal a day and be fine. So I worked my way up from 2 meals, 3 meals to 4 meals to 5 meals to 6 meals. I'm working with my coach, Chris at the time. I told him there's zero chance I'm getting all this food in, but I'll work my way up. Got to the point where I'm eating the most food I've ever eaten my entire life. I'm starving every meal. I'm walking every day. I'm doing yoga every day. And I want to be clear about something. So one, yes, the skin quality, you know, my face is younger, my actual skin, I don't like break out. I don't get acne. I don't have, and I used to have really rough skin. My hair is better. Like my hair grows in a little thicker, just like cleaner hair, like just growing as, you know, like greasy or, but my mental health was the biggest change. And I'm, so, you know, you said you wanted vulnerability, authenticity. I'll give you a little bit of vulnerability. Back in January, like the same time, this is all in the same moment. I made a promise to myself, and it was like, if my life isn't a complete 180 from this point, I'm not living to 2022. I had a plan. I committed, and I'm like, this is it. Like, this is it. If it doesn't change from here, I cannot live my life the way that I'm living it. It's unhealthy. I don't even make it to 35 at this point, and I needed a change, and it was a do or die moment, and I mean that literally, unfortunately, but you know, fortunately, here we are, and God did there. But I really believe that the gut is the passage the gut is the passage or the portal to the spiritual realm, meaning you can connect to yourself. You can, and you know, God, but it's really yourself. God is within you, so you can connect to yourself using the gut. And because what's happening is when your gut's inflamed, think of that link. Think of it like a string, right? Just a string from your gut to your brain. Yeah. Well, think of what all that inflammation is doing. Think of it like packing, like in a house, you see all that like yellow foam packing. Think of it like packing up, and it's swelling at all times, and it's swelling and it's swelling and it's swelling and it's swelling. And guess what? What do you think brain fog is? Brain fog is brain swelling. So you have a swollen neck. That's why you have neck pain. That's why everyone has neck pain in the back of their necks. Plus they're on all the time. But that's why your cheeks are inflamed all the time. That's why you're inflamed. That's why your hips. That's why your hips hurt. That's why your back hurts. Why do you think you have that shoulder injury? That neck elbow injury. This is all.
That's why you fucking become shorter too, because gravity's fucking pulling you in, and you're getting hunched over.
An inch and
I believe you've grown too, man.
But I heighted in 5'8" 3/4" for my whole amateur career. Yeah. I fixed my gut. I got healthy, and I started to see the right people to stretch, to elongate my spine, because my spine's compressed.
Of course it was compressing down. It was squeezing your cartilages. It was doing everything.
I'm 5'10" now. I've always been under 5'9".
There you go. I'm never to surrender on anything. I tell people I always get taller. Everything gets
for all the men out there who are looking to gain an extra inch, clean your gut out. If you clean your gut out, you'll get taller.
100%. And also, I believe another good one, if you want to get taller, is implement some Pilates and yoga. Get your core strong, so your core takes over the lift underneath, so the rest of your spine can relax, stretch you out, elongate you, or whatever the words I'm looking for. But the thing is, there's so many things. But I'm just shocked. I'm just shocked because, again, when we're talking about the 95% of people, it's just we accept each other. Everyone's just. I walk, and I tell Chris when I walk, and I look around me, and it's like it's all been revealed. But the most important thing is, think about this with food, because I'm going to bring up food in a second, but I'm going to bring up Olympia. But think about this: if I came to you, Tyler, and I said to you, "Listen, I've got an idea," and you go, "What is it?" I said, "I'm going to get sugar, water, I'm going to melt it, I'm going to create a ball, I'm going to stick a stick in it, and I'm going to sell it to people." What is it? I said, a Chubba Chub. What's the content? Nothing. It's just sugar, man. That's what we buy. Rubbish. There's just rubbish out there. What I mean is, what is a Mars bar? Don't get me wrong. What I'm alluding to is, what is all these biscuits, all these extra things? Like, what is all this consumption? When you look around you and you think to yourself, like the FDA, we call it with the Food and Drug Administration, they're flawed. They're flawed because I don't understand, if you are supposed to be monitoring people's health, why are we introducing something just to generate money and generate money on top of each other? Meaning, this is just to turn money over and get people to throw it down their mouths. In other words, human beings are expendable. We're just one expendable race. So if you take yourself away from the expendable part and say to yourself, all right, what is fundamentally what we eat? Like I said, besides I eat meat, fair enough. And what I do know is meat, especially cows, I know they don't eat seeds. They're grass-fed animals. So I looked for a piece of meat and I tried to make sure I'm going to pay more for it, but I'm going to eat less of it because I can't afford to eat you can give me a cheap meat and I can eat that meat what I'm saying is I can eat the whole thing, but I know because I measure my food now. But what I say is I can afford, because I measure my food, I can afford that protein, a grass-fed piece of meat, because that's and it's organic, because I'm eating portion controlled. But if I'm someone who's just looking at my eyes are bigger than my gut, that's why I'm going to go for cheap meat, seeded cow eating, where that's totally wrong. Cows don't eat seeds. They eat grass. That's what they like. That's what they do. Even chickens, whatever the natural. But I think this is what human beings are getting wrong: is just wake up where you put your money, because it's actually not feeding you. I don't know. Sorry, I went on a rant.
I'll say it this way: the sicker you are, the better customer you are.
100%.
So, I mean, this is just my opinion at the end of the day, but I'm not above the theory that it's deliberate. At the end of the day, if you're eating what you're eating and you're not eating whole food, well, you're going to eat the cheaper food for one, because the cost of living has increased everywhere. So you're going to go for the cheaper food. And what's the cheaper food going to do to you? It's going to break your body down. It's going to break your mind down. What's that going to do? Well, now I'm getting sick, whether it be mentally sick or physically sick. And I'm going to need some sort of pharmaceutical. I'm going to need some sort of Band-Aid to put over the problem. So the food is actually getting you in the door. You know what I'm saying? We think, it's all a money grab for food. The food isn't actually the money grab. They're not making much on the food. They're selling the food very cheap. The food actually gets you into the pharmacy. That's where they get the money.
It's incredible.
And I want to be clear about something. The gut is the way there. So as soon as you break down the gut, you break everything down. The gut is the nucleus. Outside of the brain, it's the gut. So as soon as it has to enter into the gut, and then
the gut's first, even before the brain.
I had a buddy at the gym, he might watch this, and this is very common amongst bodybuilders. So those 0-calorie syrups and stuff, and the little protein treats and this and that, and it's all it all tastes good apparently, and it's all protein this, protein whatever. So I know a lot of bodybuilders who use these little additives in their off season or their prep, and they make things fun and they make it tasty. But then they're also complaining about their tennis elbow or their wrist pain or their back, their lower back. It's what you're putting in your body. It's the biological reaction to what you're putting in your body. The saying, "We are what we eat," it's not just a saying. It's a literal, your skin. Skin cells rely on the food that you're eating. That's why my skin looks so different. That's why it looks so much younger. 5 years older, I'm still on the same, cycles. I'm still bodybuilding. I look 5 years young. I look 30 years old now. Let's say 30 to 35. I'm 30. When I was 25, people were telling me I looked like a 45-year-old man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what I mean. If you can attack the gut, which I want to be clear, the gut is not just attacked by food. It's attacked by what you're watching on your TV. Guess what? If you turn on the news, why do you think it's so stressful all the time?
Yeah, of course.
Watch the news, you're going to be in a panic. And if you're in a panic, well, guess what? You're probably going to be more likely to eat something shitty because you're not really feeling all that hungry, but you got to eat. So you're going to eat something that tastes good, and you're going to go and buy it. And then you're going to, have the results of it. And it's this endless cycle of how do we, as a collective, unit, attack the individual gut? Because if we can attack the gut, we can attack the mind. We can attack the mind. We have someone who's very easy to be controlled.
Well, I think I told you before we went on, I've been eating well for decades.
Yeah.
Mine, I like I said, vulnerable, open up talking. Only twice have I ever put on weight. And the only time I've put on weight is when I'm 54. At 44, I was introduced to antidepressants.
Yeah.
Before that, I didn't even know what depression was.
Yep.
I didn't even know what anxiety was. Once I went on antidepressants, I became depressed
Yep.
and I became anxious before that.
Yep.
But I have to say, I at 21, I had a motorbike accident and dislocated my whole leg out of my hip.
Yep.
And they put it back in, but I've never had a problem. You know, I don't have problems with anything.
Yeah.
Meaning I have, you know, like what I'm trying to say to you is, unless my diet and stress changes, I have problems. When my diet and my stress changes, I have problems. But other than that, I've done, which I said to you, I do decades and decades and decades and decades and decades. I told you, I knew my daughter was going to be born August the 4th. So that meant that in May, I started dieting so I could present myself ripped with six-pack. What does a baby born with a six-pack care about? I care that I introduce myself to her in my best shape and form. That's what I'm saying. That's how intricate I am in relation. But the only way I ever got there was through my clean eating, constant clean eating. But I'm going to tell you something funny. I told another pro, a classic pro, I said to him, not classic, men's physique. I said to him this, I don't know what it is with me. I get stressed and the first thing I do is I grab a can of tuna. This is no joke. And I eat it angrily.
Yeah.
Right? I eat it angrily. And sometimes, even with that tuna, I go for a walk. Don't ask me why. I mean, I do know now, like someone told me.
Yeah.
You know what it is? When you are stressed, you compound it with chocolate and you compound it with a bowl of ice cream or a whole tub. You compound it by doing something hard on yourself.
Yeah.
I think naturally, I didn't want to compound it. So because I hit the tuna, I counterattack it.
Right.
So once I've dealt with the problem, let's say I had a fight with my girlfriend.
Sure.
Let's say we fixed the problem. We talked about it. But now I've had chocolate, ice cream. I've gone out drunk, chatted to the girls.
Yep.
But because I've decided I'm going to hit the tuna and go for a walk, because I'm exploding, I need good. I didn't know this. And that guy said to me, you must, because you're not compounding, what you're doing is you're trying your best to find some fucking goodness. And it just came naturally. It's been like that for decades for me. I just grab a can of tuna when I'm stressed.
Yeah, it's a good listen. I mean, I tell people all the time, like if they're stressed or they're in a whatever, a situation, I tell them like, you got to find something that makes you feel good. And you just got to do it because, you think and I mean, like makes your soul feel good. Like food, at the end of the day, there's people who try to justify their eating habits. And it's like, it's not actually making your soul feel good. It's making your ego feel good. And you're mixing the two. If it made your soul feel good, you'd be feeding your soul. And the way I see it is like, think of it this way. We used this term earlier, Mother Earth, right? Well, who do you think, what do you think we are?
We're
like
built
we're
from
the children of Mother Earth or whatever you want to say. So who do you think we're going to get food from? Man or Mother Earth? Do you think I'm going to trust my mother more than man? Of course I am. Who am I going to eat? Who am I going to receive food from? What do you think Whole Foods are? Whole Foods are only foods that have come from Mother Earth. Why do you think trees exist? For oxygen. Why do you think water exists? To keep us hydrated. Why do you think animals exist? To feed us. Why do you think crops exist? To feed us. And now you're producing man-made products, and guess what? Everyone's sick all of a sudden.
That's why people stress when they go shopping. My shopping's so quick. I just grab chicken, meat, rice, eggs, toilet paper, paper towels, cleaning products, and mineral water, and I leave. That's how quick my shopping is. I don't have to worry too much about what I need to shop for. All right, let's go here. Tell us about Olympia 2022. I want to know the feeling being there. And I want to know, at what point did you believe you could be an Olympian? Meaning, I don't think ever since we had Lee Priest, and probably Sonny Smith and a few others, but especially Lee Priest in Australia, I don't think the boys have been on that Olympia stage. Pro cards getting up in America and around the world, pro shows, but that Olympia stage, because even though you've made it, you probably realize it's a big pond. But tell me about Olympia being there, and then tell me the moment you went, when you believed it? Don't worry, we all think we can get to Olympia, not me, but anyway. But when you really believed it, so tell me about it.
So I'll tell you about the Olympia first.
Yeah.
And, I have mixed reviews because on one hand, it was an incredible experience. Like
Yes.
truly, it was the peak of everything I've been working for, not just for a decade, but for 30 years almost. You know what I mean? Like I've been navigating through life to get here, but for the past 10 years, which is a third of my life, I dedicated everything to going to the Olympia. And that was always my goal. Like I didn't start this thinking like, I'm gonna go do a show and see how it goes. I'm gonna go step on stage and flex my abs and you know, just show people what I look like. It has nothing to do with it. I don't care what I look like. I'm working on a look that is going to get me better in my profession. So if I have another 2 pounds of muscle, 3 pounds of extra chest, I don't care about that. That means literally nothing to me outside of a bodybuilding context. So the Olympia itself was just, it was humbling. It was incredible. You know, I met a lot of really good people. The energy was electric. Getting to Vegas, the Vegas energy, it felt like the Olympia, it felt like the Olympus, it felt like
Vegas was
peak
good,
of bodybuilding. It just was unreal. And the fans and people like coming up to me.
That was a big year. That was a big year, that one in Vegas. But
It was overwhelming. It was a little bit too much, if I'm being honest. I wish I hadn't gone on a year that there's 60 guys, but if I go this year, it's the 60th anniversary, so it should be a really good year. But it was a really good experience. It was smooth. Everything kind of went smoothly. You know, it was, but yeah, like I said, it was overwhelming, and it was a little bit like, you know, small fish, big pond, and like I want to be clear about that too. Like, but when I'm here in Victoria, I'm the only male pro here, so I'm the biggest fish in a very, very small pond.
Yep.
I need that humbling. Like I'm not the type of guy to be like, oh, look at me, I'm the best here. It's more like I like to go places where there's guys who I'm like, no, look at this guy. You know what I'm saying? Like look at these motherfuckers over here. You know what I mean? Like I got my meet and greet booth, and I had a bunch of, like, not a lot of people, but like a bunch of people rolling in, and I was like, wow, like I really truly expected maybe 1 or 2 people if they recognized me, sort of thing. I was totally expecting no one to show up to my meet and greet, because I'm like, nobody knows really who I am. Yeah. And I don't, like, you know, not like self-loathing about it. I'm just like, it's just a reality. I'm a Canadian kid, not a lot of exposure out there. I'm showing up, and I'm probably not going to place all that well, but you know, I had a lot of people, a lot of love. I met a lot of people, and I met new fans, and I made new fans. I made new friends, and you know, but then I see Urs like two booths down, just lines of people, and I'm like, okay, these are the big boys over here. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I want to aspire to that. Like I'm like, I'm not looking at it like in a jealous way or anything like that. I look at it like I'm envious. I'm like, I want that. So. You know, that's what I'm working on right now, is building the physique behind the brand. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people who try and build the brand first and then work on the physique later. I have a lot of work to do, and I'm like, I just got to do more work to get the recognition that I want. Not that I feel I deserve. I feel like if I deserve it, I'll earn it, and if I earn it, then I'll get it. So, but with that said, so I don't want this to come off cocky, but like, I watched the Olympia back in 2012, and I just started bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And I was like, in 2012, I watched the press conference. I'm like, I'm going to get one of those jackets. 2014 came around. I started with the coach, and he's like, what's your goal? And I'm like, I'm going to be at the Olympia. And but I want to be like, I'm not looking at myself then saying like, this physique is going to get to the Olympia. It's like, it doesn't matter what my physique looks like now. 2 years ago, it didn't matter what my physique looked like. 3 years ago, it didn't matter what my physique looked like. I'm getting there. Like, the path is laid out. I just have to work, whether it's 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. I'm getting to where I want to be. So that's why I made that, you know, I surrendered to God, because I'm like, I'm not living a life that is conducive of an Olympian. I'm not living an Olympian life. I'm not being the Olympian. So if I want to be an Olympian, I have to be the Olympian. Like, I got to be it before I can be it.
It's like working backwards. You got to be at the Olympia, and then now you got to work backwards.
Yeah, and
see the steps prior, which is like similar to comps. You got to know the comp, and then you got to work backwards from the comp, the timing.
Yeah. And so I truly, from 2014, I was like, I'm going to the Olympia. To be fair, I wasn't in Classic yet, so I didn't have that yet. But as soon as I turned pro, the pro card was the validation of like, okay, I have it, but the real moment of like clarity was like, okay, you haven't made really much progress this past year. You're not going to the Olympia. You are talking shit and you're lying. You're lying to yourself and you're lying to everyone else, talking all this shit, saying, "Oh, I'm gonna win a pro show, and but what I'm doing behind closed doors is not conducive of winning a pro show." So I had to be real with myself and say, "You're the reason that you're not where you want to be. You can blame this guy, you can blame that girl, blame this and that, blame them, and I'm the reason, and I'm the reason for everything. I'm the reason I had stress in my life. I'm the reason I was lying. I'm the reason that everything bad in my life was happening because I was making decisions that were not aligning with myself. And so therefore I had to start making decisions that did, and I had to start living that life. And as soon as I started living that life, well, not even 2 years later, and we're on the Olympia stage, you know what I mean? So
tell me something, because I just want to inject this bit. If there was one thing that you weren't being Olympian, what is that? Like, I'm sure everyone's will be listening, but what was that?
So 2 things. I would say I wasn't living the lifestyle.
Which is?
And what I mean by that is the day in, day out. It's the behind closed doors. Nobody sees you doing it. What are you eating? What are you putting in your mouth? Not only that, but how are you spending your time? Are you spending your time recovering, or are you spending your time doing social events? Are you trying to be a part? Are you trying to be, the friend with everyone still? Oh, I'll show up here. I'll go out for food.
Are you sacrificing? Are you sacrificing? Yeah.
I sacrificed everything. And, I still made myself available for people that, like birthday parties, I'll show up and say hi.
Of course.
But outside of that, no. And so, one of the reasons I moved here to BC was solely to isolate myself and be a bodybuilder. And I love that you brought up Rocky Balboa, because this is Rocky 4 for me. You know what I mean? He moved to Russia to train. I moved to BC to train. So, it was not easy to want to leave my friends and family, but at the same time, I just saw this is training camp. And so, at the end of the day, this is the part of my life. This is the chapter I'm in where my number one priority is training. And this is how I make my income. This is how I'm building my brand, how I'm fulfilling my purpose on this earth. And how I believe that I'm meant to, like this is what I believe I'm meant to be doing. And so I want to see it through 100%. And, that's why I'm here.
Tell us, because we're gonna go to the soccer bit in a second, but I want to know, and I also want to know when you first touched weights. But the most important thing is, what was your first comp? Tell me your first comp, some of your favorite comps, some of your most educational comps. What?
Like
because obviously, bodybuilding.
So my first competition was October 19th, 2013. I say ironically because I won my pro card October 19th, 2019. So my first show, October 13th, 2013. It was in Coburg, which is in Ontario. It was a regional show. It was I did men's physique.
Were you 20 years old at the time? 20?
19, yeah. I just turned 20. So it was 19.
Yeah.
My birthday's in December, so I was 19. I won my first show. I got the overall. I didn't even know what that meant. Didn't know what anything meant, dude. I just
first show overall as well.
Flex my abs, smile big, baby. And they're like, dude, your presentation was so good. I'm like, I YouTube posing last night, man. So I won the first show, and at that point, I'm like, okay, maybe I'm built for this. So I did my provincial show next. It was in 2014 in June. So like 6 months later, I got second out of like 29 guys, like in my class, the biggest class in Ontario. I got second, which was I was 20 years old. I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing, if I'm being honest. I don't like the resources then. I'm going to tell you, the resources then are not the same as they are now. Instagram was barely a thing. It just started. Coaches were not a thing.
Yeah, it just started then.
Coaches didn't exist the way they do now. You had maybe 2 or 3 coaches, maybe per province. Now it's 2 or 3 per household. You can find a coach on any corner. You can find more coaches than Tim Hortons in Canada. You know what I mean? So,
mate, there's more coaches than gyms now. There's just everyone's and COVID created the biggest online coaching industry where I could be an online coach now. I don't even have to. It's all
It doesn't matter.
Look,
If you can promote
it doesn't
yourself,
matter anymore. It doesn't matter
write it in your
anymore.
bio that you're an online coach, then you're an online coach. And guess what? Someone's going to pay you because you're going to be the cheaper option than this person. And I want the cheaper option because I don't want to invest in my body, in my health, in my goals, and nothing, you know?
And also, we might as well just keep going a little bit on that. And also that we've got these filters and these fucking tights with these Photoshop and the tights that pull up and push in and hold on. And this is guys and girls. I don't want to just go with girls, but it's like I said, bodybuilding. I think it's bodybuilding's going through the roof right now. The only thing I have to say, I don't know if you can agree with this. I think competitions, they better police it, because what's going to happen is it's just going to be a half-assed spectacle show. And what's going to happen is, because Olympia to me in the past as well was
the best of the best.
Jaw dropping, like that's not going to happen. I can't. Where the fuck did that guy come? And also, some of their physiques, you knew that, which Classic has done now, but it was enough if you thought, look, I can't reach that level, but if I aim for that level, I'm going to look good on the beach. And the beach is okay. So, and I just feel like everyone's thinks they look good at the beach, and I'm looking at them thinking, you're joking, aren't you? Like you honestly believe you're like, I love the swagger, I love the confidence, but I'm just afraid that I'm seeing comps and I see people on stage and I go, I've seen a more muscular Ethiopian than that right now.
Yeah, trust me. Listen, I coach amateurs, so I was at almost every amateur show. I spent over $1,000 just being at shows last year.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll tell you, like, listen, at this, I agree with you, because I definitely see a lot of men and women going on stage who lack muscle. Like, it literally, you can tell that they literally just got a gym membership, if that. However, what I will say though is, in every industry, in every endeavor, in everything that you do in life, with growth comes the opportunity for like toxicity to grow, like fungi. You know what I mean? The more it grows, the more opportunity that it could get infected, right? So more opportunities that the branches could not, so it's just a matter of accepting the fact that the sport's going to grow and you're going to get some bad apples in there. And that's just kind of a part of it. And it's not to say that they're bad people. It's not to say that they shouldn't compete, because they should compete if they're given an opportunity that says you can show up and compete. It's the same thing that gives natural people an opportunity. The natural stream, it gives them an opportunity to cheat here in Canada, at least, because Canada gives out a natural pro card. The people winning are not natural, 100%. You know what I mean? You might get that person, but if you give them an opportunity to cheat, or if you give someone an opportunity to take the easy way out, you're going to get people who are going to take it. Now, before, when bodybuilding wasn't mainstream, when there was no social media, you only got people who loved to bodybuild. So you got to realize, like, the pool is smaller now, but it's a pool of purists now. Think of it like that way. Like the water is pure, and now you start adding all these other fish in there. Well,
that's what I'm saying.
They're sick. These fish don't get along with these fish. These fish, you know what I mean? And muddy up the waters a little bit.
I don't know. Like I said to you, I'm not. I'm in the business of bodybuilding right now. The more the merrier. If I can cash in on it, I'm going to cash in on it, because that's my business at the end of the day. But I think what I'm trying to say is that I feel some of the end goal for people is the gram. I think 100%. They want that if they make it to stage, It's a great story. I'm a mentor story. I'm an achiever story. I'm a go-getter story. I'm a this a story.
My ego,
and I feel great. You got a comp going, and you got 300 entrants all around Australia, 400 entrants, bigger than last year. But are they bigger? Meaning muscular. Yeah. Is it a bigger muscular class? Is
longer. It's a longer show.
Yeah, and a longer show. And like I said to you, and also I want people to come back to I want posing to come back.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it was before, but I want if it's not, I want the smaller comps before the pro comps, the smaller comps, to judge on, to put a scorecard together on your posing technique. I would love to see the ballet. I would love to go in there and watch someone who may not have the physique, but fuck me dead, he's put the time into his posing and his look and his, whatever he does, or she. I just, like I said to you, I just see some kind of, what it is, it's a tick a box. When I just love bodybuilding, it's never been a box to tick. It's been a box I love doing, and I love watching. I used to love watching Lee Haney, but I mean Dorian Yates. I liked that era. Do you know what I'm trying to say? I enjoyed watching next year, watch like every bodybuilder, even my local shows where I went to. I kind of knew these guys were a little bit more invested than me, but it didn't bother me because I knew they were invested. Also, they were invested by their attitude to get on stage. I didn't have their attitude. I doubted myself. I didn't doubt myself with bodybuilding, but that was okay because I guess I didn't need to tick that box. But when I went backstage to talk to them, I was built. I spoke. We talked. We went, whatever. So I just feel, like I said to you, I think they just need to, I'm not saying the coaches, but everybody, I just think make sure, like, we don't want the sport. Then when we go there, it becomes, we suddenly start going backwards and no one turns up to the shows because it's not actually a bodybuilding show. It's a fashion parade, or it's a show that has, you know what I mean? Like, like I said, I had to explain what I'm trying to say, but
no, listen, I've been there. You know what I mean? And on one hand, I agree with you because on one hand, I'm like, I don't want to watch the same person 4 times. I don't want to watch people just go on stage who just, they haven't dieted, they haven't even posed, they've never even like. These are criteria that should be, a prerequisite to standing on stage. However, I have to argue too, at the end of the day, it's an amateur sport, and amateur sport is free for all. And at the same time, you go to house league hockey. These guys, I played hockey my whole life. So like, I played, travel like AA, like at that level for my whole life, and then I go to house league when I'm done. And there's guys who can't skate still. They're 20 years old, 25 years old, and they're not good skaters. And I'm just like, what the F? Like, you're, how are you this bad? But it's also like, at the same time, maybe they started late. Maybe they just never pursued it. But also, it's amateur hockey. It's 9 p.m., 10 p.m. on a Sunday night, 11 p.m. on a Sunday night. They paid to play. So if you pay to compete, you pay to compete, and you're allowed. However, the problem now is that the shows are dwindling because there's so many shows, and they don't have a proper tier system anymore. Meaning they go regional show, pro card, where they used to have something in between, which was for us provincials.
Yes, there you go.
We put the provincials back in there so that these people are not trying to go from their first show ever to competing against a potential pro. How is this a proper tier system? Like, there's no development. This is why this sport currently is lacking, especially in comparison to other sports, in my opinion, at least. And I have a sport management degree, is because there's a lack of potential development. Like, you need athletes to develop over time, and especially in bodybuilding, of all endeavors, you need time. So you cannot go from, and the worst part, this is the number one pet peeve that I'm having right now with this, the way that the competitions are set up, at least over here. I don't know how it is over there, but at least over here, is they're making people qualify for a regional show. Okay, so top 3 qualifies for a pro qualifier. So there's no in between, but they're making you only, like, your regional show is only good for 12 months. Meaning, if you compete, you have to compete within 12 months of that regional show to now attempt a pro card. So what's either going to happen? One of 2 things, or one of 3 things, I guess. This person's either going to go to this show, get their ass handed to them, and never compete again. Or the person's going to say, I'm going to take some time. I'm going to develop my physique, and I'm going to take time. Guess what? 95% of those people never get back on stage because they're trying to go through the whole cycle of trying to do it my own way. I'm not taking it seriously. There's a whole process that needs to be done if you ever want to get to that next level. Or what happens is they go to the show and they, you know, get their ass handed to them. They keep coming through the circuit.
Yeah.
It's not likely though, and I know that for a fact because I've been watching this happen for the last 4 or 5 years, where people are falling off forever because they're not ready to turn pro, and they just did their first show, or there's only 3 people in the class, which is actually very, very common now, especially in Ontario, because they have 10 shows a month. Like, it's really ridiculous.
Yeah.
They think more money. We're going to make more money, and yet they have no athletes at their shows. So, you know.
Well, the thing is, there's she was a few weeks ago, Kati from Austria.
Yep.
She was on. She's natural, and she actually competed here in Australia. But she said once she got her pro card to do pro comps, she said it was just her and one other person on stage, meaning there's no one there for women for her. And she was saying she just can't find competitions where she can really compete against the best, or who's the best, and a few ladies other than, and we can all turn around and say, I came second. How many people were in the comp? 2.
That's what's happening.
And so I just feel
it's not a competition then.
It's not a comp, and that's why I think you just nailed it. I didn't think of what you said, but you need that you need to develop. You need the Thursday, Friday night hockey. Yeah. Oh, you want to do? I mean, we can't take you to pro league, but you want to up it a little bit because some of you guys
house league hockey. You go house league hockey, then you play travel hockey, which could be a select team of the house league guys.
Yeah.
You get out of the house league. Now you have single A, double A, triple A, junior B, junior C, junior A. You have OHL, CH. You have all of these. It's a ladder, and you need to respect that process in bodybuilding more than anything, because bodybuilding is not just about having talent. Like, if you're a hockey player, soccer player, you could be 12 years old, 13 years old, have all the talent in the world, and be good enough to play at a pro level almost, if you're the one of a million, right? But bodybuilding, you can't do that no matter what. It doesn't matter what age, whatever. There may be one of a million, sure, like Ronnie Coleman, but even Ronnie Coleman got fucking last place a lot. Even he was losing a lot of shows before he won, and because he had that proper time to develop, and we don't have that right now, and they took that away from us. And I was fortunate enough to get that. I had my regional, provincial, national, the whole pro qualifier, everything. So I'm fortunate about that. But if I didn't, maybe I'm not here right now, because maybe I would have just been like, fuck this. I'm not going to keep going to nationals. Going to regional, nationals, regional. I'm like, doesn't make any sense. It just, you need to have a proper stage of development for the athlete, for a human being. You know what I mean? And then that way, they're excited. It keeps them going to the next level. It keeps them going forward. Whereas if you're trying to make someone go from the bottom step to the top step, there's a whole lot in between that a lot of people are missing. So,
well, I think as well that, like you said, and I think it's great to be invited. Maybe you've done a show, and then before the nationals, or before you're going for pro cards or the comps that are like that, it'd be great for the promoters to reach out to people and say, look, I'd like you to come to this show.
Yeah,
I'd like you to, I think this is where you bring people together to compete against one another. Look, it's again, the thing, it's exploded. We're seeing a lot of girls on stage, which is great. Everything's great. But I just feel the lineup, even Jason Quinn, he's done 5 times at Olympia, when he told me how many men's physique, I think it's 60 men's physique guys, 60.
Yeah.
It's kind. I mean, now it's becoming weight class, height class, whatever class they're doing. They're trying to fix that up, because it just seems to be going to, like I said to you, there's only so, I think, anyway, I when you go to see a Formula, which is Olympia as well, when you go see a Formula One race, you want to see a race, and you want to see, the competitors, but all races anyway. But like I said,
I want to see the top 30 in the world, and I want to see them all competitive. If we're being honest right now, we're seeing 60 guys, 30, 40, 50, whatever, it doesn't matter. 15 of them are maybe competitive, maybe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want to agree with you in saying that the pool has definitely shortened a little bit in terms of, like, back in the 90s, you're getting the top 15 guys where you're like, wow. Every guy, you're like, wow. And now, respectfully, of course, because the guys are bigger, I want to respect that, and I want to respect the work they put in and everything. It's not as wow, though. I'm kind of like, yeah, this guy's got this, but he's missing that. Well, that guy looks amazing here, but he's missing that, a little bit. And these are the top guys, and the top guys look phenomenal. Do not get me wrong. But if we're comparing quality versus now versus then, it's a little bit different just in terms of the amount of the depth of field. I feel is a little bit shorter now than it used to be, despite more people.
I think again, just ad hoc now. I think Joe Wilder was a genius, and I'll tell you why he was a genius. He signed a lot of people up with a handshake. He was. I heard from even it's on the tip of my tongue. Lee. Is it surname Lee or first name Lee? I'll get it. But anyway, he created a marketing machine. He got them in, signed them on contracts, and they had to be in a certain way for magazine shots, for sponsorship shots. It was relentless what he wanted from them, but then they deliver on Showtime. But they had to look the part for photo shoots, magazines. Right. And what I'm saying is everyone's on their own now. No one's a collective anymore. Where he would sign up these bodybuilders, even even a bodybuilder in Australia, John Torelli, and even Lee Priest. Yeah. But when Joe Wilder signed them up, and he said, "I'm going to pay you X amount a year, but I'm going to put you through I won't say the ringer, but your marketing. Yeah. You better be ready for
real work.
You better be ready for Iron Man magazine. You better be ready for this comp. You better be ready for this comp. You better be ready for this comp." And he learned the art of sales, marketing. Yeah. Today, everyone's. I mean, but what I mean is everyone's gone out on their own, and nobody's the collective. Where in Formula One look, there's Lionel Messi, there's Ronaldo. I'll pay.
There's no organization. Like there's no organization support, I should say. I shouldn't like there are obviously an organization, but what I'd like to see personally, that's just again, I have a sports background, so personally, I would like to see more like the UFC, where they're booking your shows. You're not like we shouldn't be picking our shows as pro athletes. I mean, sure, have a little bit of freedom, but we should be assigned in a way. Like, hey, maybe here's my availability sort of thing. Here's where I'm from. Here's like the available, like if you're on Iran, maybe you shouldn't do US shows, maybe just whatever it is. But the UFC, they tell you when you're fighting.
Well, let me tell you something. The UFC is the smartest marketing tool in the world, even with Chris.
Because they're all independent contractors, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but listen, what? I don't know if you've noticed, but watch when Abby comes on every Monday, or Tuesday, sorry, 24 hours before the launch of a podcast, I come on like Dana White, and I go, this Wednesday we have, and I build you up like a fighter, because who are you? Who am I? Who's Muscle Talks? But if I create the hype that you're the contender, you're coming on, and this is what you need to know about him. Don't miss it. Dana White has done an amazing job to build up all his athletes. And I think everyone should look at that. And I think again, bodybuilding, I would love to know, guess what, guys, we've got this athlete coming to this show, and this
every show
they should be doing a press straight conference, up press conference, promos, everything.
Why don't you hype up your show? Why don't we have media like doing a whole reel or like a whole TikTok or a whole YouTube video on the show? Why are we not having highlight reels of every show? Every show should have a highlight reel of the athletes backstage pumping up, the interviews, like the on stage, the battling on stage, the call outs. Like I'm not seeing it. And I just think
that's why Joe Wilder did it. Joe Wilder had to sell magazines. And inside those magazines, guess what was inside those magazines? Advertising. made him money. That's why he could sign up
Man.
athletes. That's why the Olympia had their own people. He signed up. These guys were contracted. He paid them, and they all spoke about being paid. They all spoke about being paid, and then none of them ever have really anything. They said he was a marketing machine, and a lot of it. Yeah, what was his name? I don't want to say Black.
You're talking about the photographer?
No, I'm talking about the era when it was Dorian Yates. He was a short guy. Lee Price. Far out. I don't know.
Is it the guy who did he made the other IFBB Elite?
No. There was Ray.
Oh, Sean Ray.
Sean Ray.
Sean Ray.
He
was the guy who the spokesman, right?
Sean Ray
talked a lot.
Sean Ray made money promoting himself.
Oh yeah.
But Joe Weider paid him even when he's finished bodybuilding for the fact that he kept promoting the sport. Sean
He does
Ray
a really good job at promoting the sport. I'm going to give him that. This is all he does, and he's got his show, and whether it's good things or bad things he's saying, he's still promoting, and he likes to be the commentator. Whether he says good or bad things, he likes to give back to the sport, whether it's positive or negative. He's there, and he's doing it.
He created his own flyers and goes and gives out flyers signed. He pretends he was like, you got to hear. I heard him on the Cutler cast, and I laughed my head off, man. The guy made himself. The guy he would send out mail that he was going to be a special guest at a gym, but he just said to the gym, "Can I turn up?" And then he made it like he was a special guest. He was really good at what he did, and he did promote it well. And that's what I'm saying is, I don't know. There has to be a collective. I think, and the other thing is, the collective works. And I think C-Bum, the reason why he's also very successful and going to complete and continue being not successful just as a bodybuilder, the fact is that he keeps talking about the people around him, which I'm just telling you now, I always know a good business person talks about not themselves, but talk about the people around them. His wife now, obviously, he's social media guy, he's brand guy, this guy, these guys, that guy. I mean, at the end of the day, the collective has come together and it's working. And like I said to you, build a good team around you and everyone's a winner. You said now you're coming into the kill your mind, kill your body, dumping emotions, therapy, connection. Why connection? Why kill? What emotions? And what trauma? Was 6 months ago on YouTube. I watched 6 months ago YouTube and your build up. How's that been?
What did you watch on YouTube?
You had a YouTube one off season and you were training, and then you leant over like everybody does, leans over weights, and you said
speech,
you said something about
kill or be killed or something.
You said you're coming into killing it. Okay. Kill your mind, kill your body, trauma, dump emotions, therapy, connection. And then I write here, why connection, why kill, why emotions, what trauma?
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, when I go into training, when I go into this experience, which is prep, which is off season.
And wait a minute, before you add to that, wait a minute. And you also, because I'm going to bring two questions together quickly, which I was going to skip, but this might help. You also said something about 10 years of not feeling it. There was a 10-year, like something's changed. And I think you mentioned there was a 10-year of just working out, training, but now something has shifted and now it's killing it and feeling it.
Yeah. Well, a big reason for that is the presence of God. And, I'm no longer training for therapy for trauma.
Okay.
That's what got me started, not knowing maybe, but I felt I need to be somewhere not in my head. And, the gym for that was an outlet for me. I had hockey, I had soccer, but there was just something I was missing, I felt, and the gym was it. And I trained for 10 years, just sloppy, and eating sloppy and being sloppy and just not being aligned. And I was training emotional, and I was using my emotions to drive me, and I was angry, and I was using that, and the experience with God kind of lightened that load a little bit, and obviously I still have an experience of trauma, but I have learned what that trauma is.
Healing, it's coming now. It's all about killing.
Well, the way I see it, it's like it's kill or be killed, right? So, what I mean by that is commit or quit, all in or all out. Like there's only two options: kill or be killed. Either I kill you or you kill me. Those are the only two options. So guess what? I'm going through everything that's in my way. Period.
Good.
There's no like, but this guy's nice. This guy's big. This guy's. It doesn't matter. Like the mentality is, I'm going through you, and I'll find the way. There's no like, I don't. So respectfully with you, you didn't compete because you never felt good enough, or you never felt, whatever. Which is fair. I would disagree with you, obviously, because I'm going to tell you that it's a matter of your mind. You're always going to be good enough to put the effort in if you put the work. And I know you put the work in, but it starts with the mind too. So for me, that's the difference between you and I. Is I don't have that. I'm not good enough. I don't care. I don't care what my opinion is if I'm good enough or not. Like I can't put that on myself. At the end of the day, God gave me whatever God gave me. So when you said you made that tiramisu for God gave you the gift of making a good tiramisu. So guess what?
Yeah.
People asked for it. So guess what? It's your duty to give that to them. God gave me bodybuilding. It's my duty to fulfill it because God gave that gift to me. And if I don't fulfill that, then I don't fulfill His purpose. And therefore, I'm going to keep going through the cycle of a lot of things not going my way because I'm not in alignment. And I want to be clear about something too. Like I didn't choose who I am. You didn't choose who you are. We didn't choose how we look. We didn't choose how we sound. We didn't choose our height. We didn't choose our size. Like we can change our size, but we didn't choose our bone structure. We didn't choose anything. We didn't choose what we don't choose what we like or what we dislike. We learn. We learn what we like and dislike through observation, through practice. Guess who chose? God chose. You know what I'm saying? So I have a gift of bodybuilding, and whether I like it or not, whether it doesn't matter. This is what I'm here to do, and this is what I'm building my brand off of. This is who I am, but this is also who I am in this chapter, right? So there's various chapters in everyone's experience, and at the end of the day, this is my chapter, and I'm going to go all in with it. So I'm always going to maintain that kill or be killed mentality. I did it in hockey, I did it in soccer, and I ran through a lot of people, and I got run through a lot of times. You know what I mean? So.
Well, I'm going to bring that up in relation to your soccer and your things, but because I'm reading, I heard you said you like reading. You've given yourself a bit of time to read.
Yeah.
What do you like to read? Are you reading, and what books do you recommend?
Like self-help books or like self-success, like whatever you want to call it. But
of course, I know they're my favorite.
Books I'd really recommend if you're into anything spiritual, like anything where you're like, how do I learn? Like, how do I even get it? Power of Now, one of the best books. Untethered Soul, a very good book. I think it's called Awakened Earth or something like that. It's by the same author as Power of Now. A New Earth. It's called A New Earth. Those are, I would say, are more the spiritual kind of side of things that I really enjoyed. Think Again by Adam Grant was a very, very good book in terms of changing your preconceived belief systems. So what we don't realize is like power of association, meaning like two people go swimming when they're young. One drowns, one doesn't. Guess who's going to love swimming? Guess who's not going to love swimming? You know what I mean? So we create association. So therefore, not only that, but like we're raised by our parents who are typically kids. We're raised by our teachers who are typically kids. Or, as we're older, I'm 30, I'm seeing people teaching. I'm like, they're kind of dumb as hell. You know what I mean? Like, respectfully, obviously, but I'm like, these are the people who are teaching us when I was 8 years old or 10 years old, thinking this is gospel. They've got all the answers. You learn, or hopefully you learn, these people don't have the answers. They're giving you opinions, and they were only giving you opinions based on belief systems that were passed on to them from prior generations. So I had to start asking myself, what do I believe in? And why? Why do I have these preconceived beliefs? So, like one would be like smoke, like I don't know, like smoking weed. If someone was like, "Oh, I smoke weed," I'd have this like negative connotation. I'd have this like negative perception of them because weed is bad. Weed is illegal. That's what my TV says. That's what my teachers told me my whole life. But do I not like you because of that? Or is it just a different choice that you do, a different thing that you do that whether I do it or not, it's like, maybe we just have differences. Maybe it's not my way. Maybe I don't tell you what's right or wrong. Maybe I don't say, well, why don't you do it my way? Maybe you just do things differently. And so I started to think again. I'm like, oh, shoot. I'm like, all my preconceived beliefs are out the window. Now, what do I believe in now? I have no idea. So guess what? You start this learning process. You know what I mean? You need to know who you are, right? Like this is what I'm saying about, like, I didn't choose who I am. I got to learn who I am. I didn't choose the experiences I had when I was a kid, but they happened. And so guess what? They shape who I am as an adult. So I've got to be the one to go within, be like, who am I and why? And a lot of these books kind of help you do that. So those books I'd recommend.
The Power of Now. Is that an oldie? The Power of Now. That's been around for a while.
Not very old, but within the last 5 to 10 years, probably, for sure.
Okay. Yeah. No, I like. Again, maybe like bodybuilding. There's a lot of traffic out there with mind power at the moment. Everybody's writing a fucking book, and it's just, it's just, oh my God. Oh fuck! I can't believe what's out there at the moment. Even I have to pull myself in to be humble and just keep turning, I guess, myself to God. Just go, look. I'm sorry. I'm judging people, but I can't help it. But can you pull me out? Can you pull me out of it?
Yeah, I know. I get it. Another book I'll recommend. Is Mask of Masculinity by Lewis Howes. I really recommend that one because for men especially. It'll explain everything. It's basically like it's basically a therapy book for men to understand the mask of masculinity, to understand what masculinity is, to understand how it controls us, to understand there's 11 masks, and he goes through each individual one. And I can tell you right now, it's a very accurate book. And no matter who you are, you're going to resonate with one of the chapters, if not all of the chapters. And I would
What's it called again?
Mask of Masculinity.
Okay, well, that's
Lewis Howes. I really, really recommend that one. It's
Chris, Mask of Masculinity.
Yeah, Lewis Howes.
Lewis something. Lewis what?
Howes.
Just get that, write that down, Chris. All right, another new little segment I'm doing in the podcast because it's called like just a topic. Now, the topic I'm going to bring up, which we can debate for a minute or two, is wokeness. Men today and gender. What's going on in the world today? Where
men and what?
The question is the topic. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but what do you think of all the wokeness at the moment and men today and all this gender talk? What's it? What can we debate about that? Me and you. How can we piss off people? Or me and you have an argument over? I don't know. Like,
yeah,
just so we can increase the ratings.
Listen, I'm in Canada, so things are different here. Not very, but they're different. And
is that good or bad?
It's not good, man. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Like,
I've heard
they made it. Apparently, it's a law. I could be wrong, and I don't know if I'm gonna get in shit for saying this, but pretty sure there is a law or a bill. There was a bill proposed to make any anti-trans or anti-LGBTQ rhetoric like illegal, like punishable by jail or punishable by fine if you have any sort of anti-rhetoric. We can't see the news here. Like if I go on Instagram, I can't see CBC News, and it's Canadian news. It's news.
Wow.
It's blocked by Instagram. It's censored here. We can't see any news, anything, any NBC, whatever you want to call it. We cannot see it here in Canada. It blocks it on Instagram. Because of our we had a censorship law brought into our democracy. Sorry, we're getting off track. I'm going too political. I'm not going to the wokeness, but just to give you an idea.
It's a story that that's what I'm saying. The topic is supposed to. I'm trying to do a Joe Rogan, mate. I'm trying to fucking just go bodybuilding, jump out for a moment. We'll go back to bodybuilding.
I've been down the rabbit hole. You know what I mean? I've gone down that rabbit hole, and I want to be clear about something. Before my gut, so when my gut was really inflamed, my head was really inflamed, I thought all of you were crazy. I thought everything to do with anti this, anti that, woke this, woke that. I'm like, you guys are all crazy. Like, you know? And then I clear my gut, and all of a sudden I'm thinking clearly. And then I read that book, Think Again, and I'm like, wait. There to see things differently now. I'm starting to see the intention behind the food. I'm starting to see the intention behind the pharmaceuticals. Starting to see the intention
behind our political parties, behind our governments. My
Look,
God.
Here,
Go ahead.
what I think about the whole wokeness is I think it's deliberate. I think it's just another division piece. So they don't care. I want to be clear. Like, they don't give a shit who you are, what you are. They're not like, oh, we're trying to support they don't care about the community. They care about dividing you. That's the only, you're a pawn in a bigger game. And you're just being laughed at the end of the day, because you're the one throwing your hands up in the air and saying, oh, I need this, I need that. And they're laughing at you because they're just dividing the country even more. So I see it as a division piece, and I see, respect. Like, listen, I respect anyone and everyone. Okay. I don't care what you do in your own home. I don't care what you do to yourself. It doesn't matter. I don't care. But, if we're talking about, like masculinity or men, or, we have men competing against women and beating them. Like, where does it end? You know what I mean? Is that a man to you? Is that masculine? Is that a trait of a man to be like, you know what? I'm going to go compete against the girls now, because all I have to do is just say I'm a girl. I'm walking in there with a full beard. Doesn't matter. And I'm going to beat all these girls, and I'm going to win all their titles. Doesn't matter that the girl spent her whole 20, 30 years for this. The man walks in. It's a man's work. Always has been, always will be.
Yeah, but I hear you. What I guess what really kind of disappoints me is that I'm okay to have a discussion with someone, but I'm not allowed to say that I'm not happy about it. I can say there's only two genders.
Yeah.
And you can tell me there's five. Okay. But why are you arguing with me? Yeah. Like, okay, you got five in your head. Go for your life. Sure. I'm saying this too, but there's this argument that you're not allowed to I'm not allowed to have an opinion anymore. I'm not allowed to say there's two. Now, I know that you're born the way you're born, meaning even gay, you name it. There's a build-up, a DNA, a makeup of one. You can't fight it, and I don't want them to fight it. I don't want anyone to. I don't disagree. Yeah, I don't want anyone to hurt themselves. I don't want, because I had a friend who was gay. He told me, when you discover you're questioning your sexuality, it's the darkest place in the world, and that made me sad for them. Yep. So having said that, it's already dark enough. But like I said, for me, I'm okay. You can have 10 fucking genders. But if I tell you what I believe, can we just not? Well,
I agree to disagree if that's the case. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, and respectfully, again, I'm not saying anything about anyone. I don't care what you are, what you do. But I mean, the surgery for transgender is called male to female, female to male.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? There's no other
do it.
This to that or they to that. It's male to male, male to female. And if you look at cows, a bull, there's a male and there's a female. There's a rooster, there's a chicken.
I'm okay if a guy wants to become a female. Go do the job. Go get it done.
I think go do your thing. But then you may revoke the right to compete in female sports. You may compete in male sports if you're male, because that's fair. You know what I mean? But I just respectfully don't think. Again, I come from a sport background. We had an ethics course. This was discussed in the ethics course. I said if they're going to do anything, they should do a trans category, and then it's a free for all. And then the argument is, well, they just believe it as they're a male or a female, right? Okay, fair. But biologically, respectfully, a man is going to have more testosterone built up over 20 years or 30 years of having testosterone. A little bit of estrogen is not going to undo the 30 years worth of bone density, of density of muscle, of quality of muscle, of even the masculine drive. You know what I mean? Like that testosterone drive, like that's real. That's a real thing. So like that little bit of anger, it's the kill or be killed mentality. Like that comes with a little bit. I'll tell you, it comes with a lot more testosterone. You want to add a lot more testosterone, you get that a little bit more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And also, I mean, since we're on the topic, and what about men today? Like, what I'm looking at is
5%ers.
Yeah, I don't want to say I got bashed by my dad. What I mean by that is my dad, it was what it was. And I don't think I can have hate for discipline. But today, I feel as a father, I've got to apologize. I'm sorry I spoke to you this way.
Right.
Or maybe if I sat down a little bit longer and communicated with you, we would not, like, what the fuck is going on?
I got a spoon and walk it off, bud.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, what is going on today with kneeling down?
Yeah.
And look, this could rock the place, Chris. And why is the woman, the wife, the mother getting in the fucking way? Like, just let us talk, like, to the boys. Because we did a post,
like parents.
I did a Steve Talks post, and this is what I said. I said this: women and women, they can talk. Men to women, we'll find it difficult. Men to men, we can talk. That's how it works.
I understand.
Girls to girls, women to women talk beautifully.
Yeah.
Men to men, if you said you got a problem, I'll probably say to you, do you want to go talk about it at the gym, bro? We'll do a few bench press and we'll talk about it. We'll probably talk about it our way.
Yeah. Couple
we
drinks,
don't, but
when we get a little loose, you know?
Yeah, but when we talk to a girl, which we try to, guys will fail every time. Let's be clear. We will fail. Why will we fail? Because me and you, guy to guy, we might want to go kick a soccer ball and talk. Yeah. We may want to throw a rod in and fish and talk.
Yeah.
We may want to. That's just boy testosterone. Boy.
It is. Boy. I feel like it's a mask almost. It's like a mask to like, you know, as men, I do find that like the gym, barbershop.
Yeah.
You know, we have our points of vulnerability.
Yeah.
But not when you're telling me to be vulnerable. Not when you're like, hey, sit down with me.
Yeah.
In a feminine energy, which is fine.
I can't do it.
We have our own feminine energy. We have our own masculine energy. It's a yin and yang. We have to have it. But for a masculine to then, you know, spill my masculine within a feminine energy, you're clashing. You're clashing. That's why feminine with feminine, synergistic. Masculine with masculine is synergistic. So a masculine way of being therapeutic or trying to get, you know, hey man, what's going on? It's very unlikely a man is going to sit on the couch with you and talk to you one-on-one. It's more likely we're going to go to the bar, we're going to have some drinks, we're going to get a little loose, or we're going to go to the gym, and then, you know, the gym's kind of opening you up a little bit, and then, you go kick the ball around, and then you're just talking, and then one thing leads to it is a man. I would say, respect kind of the energies a little bit better, you know.
We go to a car show. But what I mean is, and we also know once we've opened our mouths to a female, we're fucked. Sometimes I had to pull back. Okay, especially when they go like this. What do you mean? And you go, oh, we're going into dangerous territory. I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
I don't know what I mean. That's the problem. That's why I didn't say anything.
All right. Well, that was the new segment. So let's get back to some bodybuilding. I want to know. You know, I would like to know a little bit about comp prep diet. All right, because I feel this is something that's kind of like a mystery to me. It's like you go from here, I see your shots, I see this double bicep muscular, and then I see you at comp, and I'm just seeing these new muscles like everywhere. What is a comp prep diet look like? How long out does one need to start it? And what is it the week or two before? Like what is that like? Because I'm kind of intrigued.
So in an ideal world, your competition diet doesn't change from your off-season diet outside of maybe like,
good to know that,
instead of ground beef, maybe more chicken. Instead of like, you know, more eggs, maybe egg whites. You might clean up the fat a little bit. But in an ideal world, my diet's the same year round. It's just different portions, and then maybe a couple foods here and there, whether they're higher in inflammation, for example, higher in fats that maybe you just don't need at the time. But just to give you an idea of like what I eat, it'll be like eggs and egg whites, cream of rice with like berries or something, or almond butter or something like that. I'll do that for 2 meals. Or without the eggs in the second meal, I'll do whey instead. That's my pre-workout meal. It's just cream of rice and whey basically. And then I'll do, you know, chicken and potato and greens, and then chicken and greens, and then fish and greens, and then fish and greens. And I may have more carbs in there with rice or potato, or I may have less carbs in there with just more greens and fish and chicken. And, you know, I that's kind of all it is. If I'm being completely honest, it's
then why do I feel like if I have a meal that isn't chicken, isn't egg whites, isn't lean meat, isn't rice or brown rice, let's say I have cream of rice with whey and peanut butter,
sure.
why do I feel in my head, it's in my head, that anything that looks sweet, sugary, and delicious, it's not good for me because I'm training? Like, why do I keep believing?
Can I say this in a respectful way?
Yes, please.
It's an eating disorder.
Oh, yeah, I've got one.
Right? So,
yeah.
right, of course, I say that
I had
respectfully.
one.
Yeah, you know, it's a mental thing in terms of your like I said, power of association. It is right there. You're living it right now. You've created an association that tasty looking food cannot be enjoyed during your contest prep or your cutting.
I agree with you. I'll need a coach if I compete. I'll need a coach.
You say you associate cutting and hard and bad, and it's got to be this ruling. Doesn't. I'm going to be honest with you.
I'm getting therapy now. Go ahead.
My first two pro shows, easiest preps I've ever had in my entire life, bar none. I was convinced I wasn't in shape because the prep was so easy. I was sleeping every night like a baby. I had no hunger. I was never thinking about food. I had maybe like a couple moments where I'm like, oh, I'm pretty hungry right now, but I'm not hungry. There was no hunger. Definitely no starvation.
Wow.
No one's starving, just to be clear. But all the symptoms I experienced through, I had a light head, like my head was very light and clear versus heavy and dark. My recovery was on point. My energy was good. I was like loving life. I was high on life every day. That was like my most spiritual, because I just felt, well, I'm empty too, right? So I have no restriction, no inflammation. I'm connected. I'm in my gut. I'm in my mind. And it's an association. So listen, at the end of the day, food is food. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there really are no, like, I say, okay, I'm contradicting myself right when I say this. There are no good and bad foods as long as the foods are whole foods. So there's definitely bad foods when it comes to inflammatory properties, man-made packaged products, swelling, you know, biological response from the body, blah, blah, blah. But if it's a whole food, there are no good and bad foods, just food. So it's a matter of like, how much are you eating? Meal timing, I wouldn't say matters, but it does matter, because like you should be having carbs and fats before you train. You shouldn't be doing a high protein meal before you train. You know what I mean? Like these things are, I shouldn't say common sense. It's not common sense, but it's kind of like the bare bones basics of dieting and meal prep and meal planning when you get to that level of like, well, how do I structure a diet?
I have an eating disorder.
I know you do.
And I'm not saying that I don't eat well. I feel good, but I have an eating disorder.
You eat amazing. Don't get me wrong. I can tell. You know, you tell me you eat clean. You know, but you have.
I have an eating disorder.
Yeah,
and I'm quietly thinking. Don't tell anyone. I know, but I might compete. I don't know, because I think I've got to fucking break that fucking.
Listen, how you said you're 54?
54, man.
So the uncle that flew, well, didn't fly me out here, but he offered me his place. He's 55. He just turned 54. He was 54 last year. He did his first show last year. That's how I came here. He did his first show in April. It was in Victoria. I coached him. I flew out from Ontario to Victoria to come see his show, to come support him, to come, you know, be there for him. And that's what led me here. So, and now he's going to do the 55 and over North Americans in Pittsburgh this year to try and get his pro card. And, you know, I do it. Listen, have you ever competed before? You said no, right?
Never.
Got one life, man.
Maybe, but I do have an eating disorder, so I need definitely a coach to help me fucking eat, because I would.
They tell you what to eat, you do what they tell you to do, and you just have to surrender. You know what I'm saying? You surrender that control. Same way you did with God, and it's not saying a coach is God, but a coach is going to guide you down that path.
Could be an expensive ticket for you to fly to Australia to watch a show with me. But anyway, that's another story.
Let me out there. We'll talk about it.
All right. Tell us about your famous quote, Juicy. Where's the Juicy come from?
You know what's funny? It's just a nickname given to me at the gym the one day. I come from like a smaller bodybuilding community in Niagara. It's not huge. It's not super small. Like there's a handful of people, but I was just a kid, man. I was like 21, 22, and I'm all, you know, juiced up. I'm all, things are popping all over the place for the gym I'm at. Remember, like you got to remember the level that I'm at too, right?
Yeah, of course.
And I walk in the gym and my buddy's like, yo, Juicy J. And then it just started from there. And then the Juicy, I got the whole Juicy thing going, Jocy, and Juicy J, the Juice, whatever. Juicy Johnson, it just kind of stuck. And I don't know, it's just kind of jokes at this point. Just kind of run with it.
Well, let's talk about what made you stand out to me when I noticed you a little bit. I pretty much saw you on TikTok more so than IG, and then I saw you with Nicole. Who's Nicole?
She's a client of mine. I was coaching her.
I thought for a moment I thought she was your wife.
No, dude, I was just coaching. This is the funny thing, man. I was just coaching her. Like, so many people are commenting, like, thinking I'm either in the bride's, like the bridal, or what's it called, the
bridal party.
The groom.
I thought you were the groom.
They thought I was either marrying her or as a best man or something. And I'm like, dude, I'm literally. She just was like, this would be a funny video, and I'm like,
yeah, it was hilarious because you got her with the bands doing flies, and I thought that is like,
oh yeah, I'm yelling at her. I'm like, let's get Juicy, like
let's get Juicy. You said, yeah. So Nicole's one of your clients, but I found it just hilarious. It was like there's no what's it? There's no tools down. We're on. Even wedding day, we're on. So I guess I assumed that you were the groom and that was your
yeah, no, I was just there coaching her, man. I'm good at my job and I'm always there. You know what I'm saying? So
I love
wedding day, competition day. I got a job to do. So that's just what I'm doing.
I gotta say, man, you look so different to then. You actually look like you got color now.
Yeah,
you got you've got heaps of color going on. I mean, I'm not saying that you haven't been at. I'm just saying that you just seem like, when you're in your 20s, early 20s, you always look, your hair, your color of your skin, everything looks different. I just said you've looked like you've found the power of the youth, and I do believe. What did I say? The fountain of youth, besides diet, is the gym. And why the gym? And I'll tell everyone why the gym. Because the gym, firstly, it doesn't punish you. I'll tell you why it doesn't punish you. Jogging does. It hits your joints. Tennis does. Soccer does. Hockey does. Anything but the gym. Let's talk about the gym. Okay, you're lying down and you're lifting that off your chest. Well, that's pretty good. Standing curls, squats. You're already picking up. If an 80-year-old's training in the gym, he's already lifting more than an average 80-year-old. That's the fountain of youth. Everything is lifting more than the average. And 100%. I think put that together with food. But like I said, anyway, but you found, like I said, I agree with you with food. I've only discovered food 6 months ago. And I think this podcast opened me up to a lot of things in relation 100%. To also my training. It also made me realize the love affair I have with the sport and why I can talk to you guys about it. You know what I mean? So you're a coach, you're a personal trainer, and it seems you have a lot of success with bodybuilders, male and female, competing. Tell us about that. Tell us about how you balance competitors when you compete. How do you balance that?
Just do it. You just do it. Okay, listen, and I say that because, like, I've competed in the same so when I won the Toronto Pro, that was on a Sunday. I had athletes competing on a Saturday.
Okay,
the same show as me. Like, I'm in the same, like, they were in the amateur show, I was in the pro show. Both guys still won. You know what I mean? They still won. I did my national show when I turned pro. I had 4 people in that show, and that was in the same show. Like, we're all amateurs at the time. I had four people in that show, and the worst placing we got, I think, was like 3rd or 4th or something. The rest were 1st and 2nd. And I think you're paying me for a job, and I'm gonna deliver. Like I said, it's kill or be killed, and I really mean that. It's like the job has to get done, or I'm gonna get done. So either if I don't do what I need to do, I'm the one who's gonna take the consequences. So I don't know. You just do it, and I love what I do, and it keeps me occupied. It keeps me entertained while I'm just sitting there waiting around for my show. And
I love it.
I love what I do. So it doesn't I never stress about work. And I mean, obviously I do because I'm passionate about what I'm doing, but I just do what you got to do.
Word. And tell me something again. These are questions I want to ask, and I'm sure bodybuilders will, or up and coming bodybuilders. Let's say you've done all the hard work in the off season or years. How many weeks away does one need to choose a comp and let's say diet and engage into it? Like, meaning, if you said, look, if you're going to look at any comps, you'd want to make a decision X amount of weeks out. Now, obviously, if you said 12, well, yeah, myself. Well, how many weeks out would I be looking at it? Like, yes, yeah, of course.
So
what questions about?
Okay, so if you're coming off an off season,
mm-hmm.
you're like, I'm done my bulk, I'm ready to go, and you've got confirmation from your coach saying, yes, you've done the bulk, you've done the work, you're ready to go. I would say, like, minimum, depending on your conditioning, like the minimum amount of time for anyone should be minimum 12 weeks. Like, that's like,
okay, yeah.
If you're already a lean guy and you can get in shape pretty quickly, 12 weeks, no problem. 16 weeks is more ideal for most people, because you don't know how your body's going to respond at first, and you might go through a quick drop. Like, you never know. And I would say give yourself 16 weeks. But if I were to say, like, I'm going to plan ahead, like, if you're planning, give yourself 6 months.
Okay.
Not to cut the whole time, but 6 months of mental preparation of, like, I'm going to be on my diet for the next 2 to 3 months in a grow phase, or like a surplus phase. And then the last 12 to 16 weeks are going to be a deficit or like a recomp into a deficit. There's again, I struggle to give you one answer, because there's just so many variables that come into play. And I hate being the guy to be like, 12 weeks is the answer, 16 weeks. Every answer I give you to any question when it comes to coaching is it depends. And if any other coach tells you anything other than it depends, they probably don't know what they're talking about, or they're just a bullshitter, because it completely depends on the situation, the individual, the show, your starting point, the amount of muscle you have, how your genetics. Are you do you have a fast metabolism? Do you need to fix that? Do you need to, do you have inflammation? Do you need to, like, there's so many things that come into play but 12 to 16 weeks is the average time. If anyone's like, well, how far out do I start to cut? 12 to 16 weeks.
Well, for myself, I guess myself as well.
You're asking for yourself. You're trying to.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you know who I am? I'm the people. So I'm not. What I mean is, on that camera.
Yeah. I'm going into a show.
I'm the people. So they're probably thinking what I'm thinking. You know. So because me and you can sit there and talk about prep and diets and be bodybuilders, gym bros. But I think the other thing I wanted to let you know is, for me, I guess I'm an 85 kilo guy.
Yeah.
But I got to 107. Right now I'm 93 kilos.
Okay.
But I've actually held on to the great thing. It's been slow. It's been about a year and a half I've been working on this, right? I've been working on it like relentlessly. And the bit that got me into the right lane a bit quicker was my diet. Once I went from starving myself to 5 meals a day measured. I've never used scales. I'm scaling everything now. Everything's scaled, right? And I'm more muscular, but I'm losing the fat.
Right.
So I feel this is why I'm looking at it in a way that I think I'm timing myself perfectly to then switch it around and then go that way again. But I'm just asking, probably, like you said, 12 weeks would be good.
Yeah.
But for me, it's not been. I don't want to get skinny. I'm just wanting to bring back what I just want to be bigger at 88, 85 kilos.
You'll look bigger. You'll look bigger if you're leaner.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'm looking at, and the way to be bigger is to preserve my muscularity.
So the longer term is better. 16 weeks, more high days, less crashing. More of a just smoother transition. I would say 16 weeks for anyone.
Yeah, that's good. What is here we go. Tell us quickly, because we're coming to the end of the podcast. Tell us about your childhood, schooling, education. What did you want to be? And I want to know about your soccer, and I want to know about sports, because it seems like they're part of your life. So childhood, education, were you a smart kid, university kid? Did you want to be a pilot? Tell me.
I was not a driven kid.
Okay.
I played hockey and soccer my whole life. I was very competitive, but school context, there wasn't really much. I did okay. Just to be clear, I didn't like fail, but I was like a average student, 60, 70. I was the kid who didn't apply himself. So I would study the night before, if I even studied. I would do my homework literally the night before. It didn't matter. I'm not joking. It didn't matter if it was a 1-page paper or a 20-page paper. I've done it the night before. I'm never starting before the night before. That was the type of student I was, and I got 70s and skated by through school. I went to high school. I played every high school sport, like hockey, soccer, badminton, track and field, cross country, football. I don't know. I don't even know what other sports there are. I swam for a year. I did anything that you could possibly do. And then I went to college for web design. I graduated college, Niagara College. It's a 2-year program. And then I went to Brock University, 4-year bachelor's program. So I got my bachelor's in sport management. I got my pro card in my last year of university. I was a full-time student while I was bodybuilding.
You went to university, but you're underestimating yourself. But go ahead.
I was working, 30 hours a week at Swiss Chalet, driving chicken around, and then I was coaching at the same time. It was a busy time in my life, and I kind of look at it like a grind sort of thing, and I kind of went through what I had to go through, and I didn't really have the free time. I just kind of went from here to there to there to here, and did it all again tomorrow. And sports, I just played hockey and soccer competitively. Like I said, I did every other sport. I played football. I was really good at kicking. Like I was a kicker in football, and I think that's something I could do now. Still, it's something I think I could do outside of bodybuilding if I really wanted to, because it's not something that shouldn't say it's not hard. It's definitely hard, but it's not something that requires a whole lot outside of what I already know what to do. My childhood was good, I guess. There were challenges and stuff. And
what did you want to be? Did you have dreams? What did you want to be? Anything?
It's funny, actually. I was like 5 or 6. I remember this. I have a very weird, vivid memory for very specific events, but also trash memory for everything that I did today. You know what I mean? So I was about 5 or 6, somewhere around that age, and I had this like vision in my head where I'm like, I'm going to be a pro athlete / pro coach. I'm going to be a pro athlete at whatever I choose to do. I thought it was either hockey or soccer, because bodybuilding didn't exist at the time. I'm like, hockey or soccer. I'm going to be a pro athlete, and then I'm going to use all that experience as the athlete, and then transition into being a coach, because I don't know, I love helping people, and at the same time, how am I ever going to help people do anything other than what I've already done? So
at 5 years old, you think that, right?
Yeah, like if I've done it, then I can help others. And I was like 5 or 6 years old. This wasn't like a hard dream. This wasn't like I'm going to make it to the NHL. Bodybuilding didn't exist till in my world until 2012, 2013, and that's when I was like, I'm going to win my first show, and people laughed at me. I said, I'm going to get my pro card, and people laughed at me. I'm going to get to the Olympia, and people laughed at me. And so I just kind of like always had that like when I was a kid. So we didn't grow up with a lot of money. Like we grew up subsidized housing and paycheck to paycheck, and there was 2 kids to feed, and so I kind of grew up with this like mentality that like just because you don't have as much as other people doesn't mean you can't have as much as other people. You just might have to work harder. You might just have to persevere a little bit more, but it's still there. Like the fruits of your labor are still there. You just have to work. Just because you don't have the same resources to get there doesn't mean you can't get there. So you just have to find your way. And
that's an amazing way to be thinking, especially as a kid and especially growing up. And you could have easily, like most, feel sorry.
I just want to say that's all my parents right there. Like they didn't accept that we were not going to have as much as them. You know what I mean? Like they're not victims. So they didn't play this victim mentality. Just because we have less than doesn't mean that we're always going to have less than, or doesn't mean that we can't. Just because we have less than, first of all, doesn't mean we don't have enough. You know what I'm saying?
Well, so, and they're still together. I'm gathering they're still together.
Yeah, they are, and
that's what it's all about, man. Like that's why
they came to the Olympia. They came to Toronto. yeah, they're the reason that I am the athlete and person that I am, because
When did you touch weights? What age? When you said, "Oh, I like these."
17. I was
17.
just finishing up high school. I was like second semester, grade 12, and funny enough, I started that year as the kicker for my high school team, and I started the next year as the cornerback, like the defensive back, because my coach was like, "You got so jacked over this." I gained like 25, 30 pounds in my first year.
Wow.
I gained 15. No, I gained 30 pounds. I gained 30 pounds in my first month and a half of training, give or take. It was like 120 to like 145 or 150 from like at the end of January to like March break, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, so I started at 17 and kind of went through like high school, like football and stuff like that. So I wasn't like training, that seriously. I was just getting jacked, whatever. And then, yeah, dude, I would walk to the YMCA an hour there, an hour back. You know what I mean? Like if I didn't have a ride that day, so I'd go with my buddy. He'd drive me from school. We'd go from high school. We'd drive to the YMCA. And if he wasn't there, he's like, "Oh, I'm taking a rest day." I'm like, "Well, I don't have that in my vocabulary. So I'm going to walk my ass to the YMCA at 4 p.m., go train for 2 hours and walk home for an hour." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Oh, man, I tell you what. Yeah, you loved it. You love your sport. You're a sports kid. And you also, I can't believe your mindset was pretty strong back then.
Dude, I used to walk to my hockey games with my hockey equipment on my back.
Mate, you told me, you mentioned about, like we said, about driving an hour to the gym. I mean, like I said, it's not, you can do it. That's okay. You can do it. But the thing is, there is the challenge of the mind in all that. Everything has too much time to think. And like I said, you actually overcame a lot of that. Who's your NFL team?
Say it again.
Who's your NFL team?
NFL? No one, honestly. I don't follow. It's weird. I played.
You played. You talk about soccer, or you talk about when you said you're a quarterback? When you played quarterback,
American football, but I never followed it.
Oh, God.
Believe it or not. Listen, I don't.
And in soccer, okay, that's right. In soccer, who do you follow in soccer?
No one.
What about European League, English League? Manchester
United. If you want an answer, if I have to give you an answer, Manchester United, and then NFL would be the Buffalo Bills. But I couldn't tell you one person on either team because I don't. Listen, I love sports. I've played sports my whole life. I was a hockey guy, so I followed the Leafs religiously up until like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Soccer I played my whole life. I just loved to play. I never really watched it too much.
What position were you in soccer? What position in soccer?
I played everything. So I've literally played every position. I played striker.
Yeah, which is the? I don't think I'm a good striker.
No, I'm literally like I've played like at a high level at everything except goalie. I played house league. Like I just played for fun, but I was a weirdly good goalie. For how like I don't have like crazy long limbs or anything. But that was just like men's league sort of co-ed. But striker and D were the two. But I played I played outer mid. So I was a speed guy. That was my position, speed. So wherever we needed speed. So if it was striker, I'd be striker. If we needed the stamina and speed on outer mid, I played outer mid. So it depended on the team I was with too, because where do we need the gap filled? Our defense, if our defense is weak and our striking is strong, I don't need to go striker. We have strong strikers already. I'll go D and fill in the gap on the D. So when I played D, not because of me, but our D was so stacked. We had like the best goals against in the whole division because and we had the best goals for because our strikers were so good. It was just like wherever the gap was, I played and I was the kid. I was very small, just to be clear. I was a very, very small kid. So when I'm doing cross country and track and field and I'm hockey, soccer, I'm the kid who like zips up and down the field and doesn't come off.
So you would have been a kind of a skinny kid.
I was 115, 120 pounds in grade 12. I was very, very skinny.
Oh, God, it's just amazing. Like, I mean, look, I mean, we're nearly done here, but I just want to let you know you have amazing physique. And what I've seen from your photos and just doing your research and following your journey, you've done massive shifts, man. Like you've really detailed a lot. But and I do believe, and you turned 30, there is like sprinters, they peak in their 30s. That I think there's a certain testosterone level at 30 that's
Sure, muscle
can
and
really-
bodybuilding.
yeah,
Bodybuilding
yeah.
for like 32.
Yeah, so I got a feeling you're coming into your element. What is your dominant body part and what is your non-dominant body part?
Dominant is shoulders.
Yep.
I'm all shoulders basically.
You
And
are.
non-dominant, I'd have to say like my hamstrings probably, my quads maybe. My glutes are decent, but I would have to say like hamstrings or quads because and the reason there's reasons because
Yeah, I want to ask you what's the reason and what are you doing about it?
well, one thing was playing hockey and soccer through my whole career.
Mhm.
The cardio killed my quads.
Okay.
Just from growing, like you got to realize the tax that's under, like it's stress under stress all the time. So like between that, but I realized this year and this past year is between my hip being completely out of place and the nerves being blocked. So my glutes weren't firing, my hamstrings weren't firing, but also my ankle mobility because of hockey. I have no ankle mobility. So like when I squat, before I learned about my ankle mobility, when I would squat, I'd push my hips back. So instead of bending my knees, bending forward through the squat, I'd push my hips back to compensate. And it would take a little bit of the load off the quad, more on the hip, more on the glutes. And then so I started working with like a trainer who identified the issue in my ankles, and he's like, dude, you have hockey ankles. And I'm like, fuck, like I didn't even know this was a thing, but now I'm like, I have no mobility. Like if I go to shift my weight forward, I'll just completely fall because I don't have that.
Oh.
I don't have a brace there where my ankle stops me or I can't move. Like I can't. So my ankle mobility has been impacting my quad development for the past forever. So I've just been working on my ankles. I've been more cognizant of like where I want the tension. So rather than posing or squatting in my heels,
Yep.
I'm now shifting the weight into my toes so that I can engage the quad a little bit better. And then that way, when I'm doing my squats, I can shift my weight forward into the squat through my knees, past my ankles versus trying to stay still and then compensate by going backwards. So it's just, listen, I'm 30 years old and I've been doing this for 10 years and I'm just learning this now. You know what I mean? So this is a never ending journey of learning. And, I don't believe anyone's peaked. I believe everyone's just peaking or learning or growing. You know what I mean?
Well, I think as well with bodybuilding, no one understands that there's no finish. Because if I stop training, I just relatively go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Maybe not the complete beginning. So in other words, I'm training till they close the box on me because my body ain't. I've got to go against gravity, the world. I've just got to stimulate.
You're only going to be healthier the longer you train. That's the reality.
Yeah, 100%. What's next for Tyler Johnson? What do we got going on?
I have a lot of, I don't know. I got a lot of plans, but
Anything like when are you going to Olympia?
When am I going? This year, 100%. I got 3 to 4 shows lined up. As of right now, they're tentative. I don't want to say too, well, whatever. I actually don't care about that. So tentatively, I'm not going to announce it, but tentatively, Indy Pro, June 29th, Orlando Pro, July 6th, Vancouver Pro, July 13th, Chicago Pro, July 20th. There's other options around there if I choose to prolong it, if I choose to skip one or whatever, but or if I choose to start early, it really depends on. I'm just getting back into my full routine. I took December off of like being dialed in because I was moving. I had my birthday. I was celebrating at the holidays and a whole lot of excuses. So I'm back on track now, and I'm going to give myself 6 months, which will take me to the end of June. And if I'm there, I'm there, and if I'm not, then I'm not in a rush to compete either. I'm in a position where quality over quantity, and I'm not pushing to. Well, I have to do this show because I don't play that game. I'm playing the game where like I am the game. So meaning like I choose what I want to do based on what I want to do. I'm not playing their game of like, well, this show is at this time and this show is. Doesn't matter, man. I'm gonna compete when I'm ready, and I'm bringing the physique that I want to bring, and I'm bringing the package that I want to bring, and we're working on it right now. But I feel within the first month or two being here, I feel like I feel like everything I lost is going to come back and then some. So I'm confident in like my execution, and I'm confident in my patience. But with that said, though, it's not easy looking at myself right now. So it's not easy picking a show when I don't have that same confidence I had 2 months ago, right?
100%, but you're going to be your worst critic anyway.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to ask you two more questions before we go over the body. One is, again, one of my questions. Fasted cardio. Is there such a thing?
Versus like anything else?
Like just cardio? Like meaning,
Cardio.
am I allowed to get up in the morning and have, like, I like to go for about a 6K walk in the morning, right?
Before you eat?
Well, I've done it before I eat, and I wonder to myself, do I need to?
Oh.
Like, hey?
It's cardio.
Sorry, what was that?
Cardio is cardio. And I've done preps where I've done only post-workout cardio.
Because, people always talk about this fasted cardio stuff.
The theory is like, there's bro science theories where you're like,
The bro science, yes.
you're burning off the food. You don't have any food in you, so you're just burning fat. If you eat something, then you're just burning off the calories. It's like you're burning calories, period. And cardio burns fat. Whether you eat now or eat later. I've done cardio at night. I've done cardio in the morning. I would say the benefits of fasted cardio more so have to do with digestion, clearing the stomach acid, getting things to move in the morning. Clearing the brain, it can spike your appetite. It can spike your hunger if you're someone who has an issue eating in the morning. Best thing for you is to do fasted cardio, because what's happening is you may have a little bit of gut inflammation. You may have a little bit of like gastroparesis where like it's just things are not moving yet, or like you slept on the wrong side. Sleep on your left side, by the way, not your right side. Your stomach's on the left, and it'll gas your juices better. But it's just little things like, if you want to do fasted cardio, like I like to do it in the off season, especially because I have a hard time eating so much in the off season. So I'll get my morning movement in, and then I'm hungry. But there's no merit to fasted versus later in the day. I've done both. I've done it all, and it all works. I promise.
Okay. Canada, sell it to us. You're working for the tourism company. Sell me Canada. Why should I come to Canada?
Probably shouldn't. What are you coming for? What are you coming for?
Well,
if you want to come for the scenery, beautiful. You can find some very beautiful places in Canada that you probably won't find anywhere else. Amazing for the scenery. The people can be nice. If you like the cold weather, you like winter sports, you like skiing, you like the northern sort of vibe. Canada's amazing for that, and I really love it for that. I'm in BC, and I love being by the mountains, by the ocean, and it's all available. It's all right here. It's all in my backyard. You know what I mean? But that's the only thing I'm going to sell you on coming to Canada at this point in time. If you were to ask me 10 to 15 years ago, I'll sell you on it all day.
Yeah, no, you got it.
Freedom of speech.
Let's try not to get arrested.
Yeah,
because,
you know what I mean. So
no. You guys have been sold, but it's funny because I asked the Austrian girl, Caddy. I said, "Can you sell Canada?" And she said they were voted #1 grumpiest country in the world.
Austria?
And I said, Austria. And I said, you know what? I think I could go there because I wouldn't mind being grumpy for a while. So anyway, but I'm sure it's very scenic, but it was quite funny at the time.
Are you fat up or fed up? Tired of boring food? We just cooked this from our What Should I Eat cookbook. It's also on an ebook, making it more affordable for you. So
get your copy at threeog.shop.
All right, we're going to go over the body quickly. Okay. I'm going to give you a body part. I just want an exercise, sets and reps. Now, if you don't train it, you don't train it.
Okay.
But so it would be pretty simple. Like if I said, like give you example, bicep, I'd probably say, all right, spider curls. Let's say 2 sets, 15. Two sets, 15
biceps, I'd say preacher curl, 3 sets, 15.
Wait a minute, we haven't gone there yet. Right. I'm going to go down the body. That's so traps. Do you train traps?
Traps?
Traps.
Yeah, I would say either dumbbell shrugs or upright row.
Okay, how many sets reps?
Oh, sorry. Dumbbell shrugs, I would usually do like a superset. Oh, you know what? Do an upright row and shrug superset. Do 2 times 15 each, or 2 times 10, or 3 times 10.
I love that. Okay. Delts, side delt.
Lateral raise dumbbell 4x15. I would actually go 6x15.
I like these answers. They're
Yeah.
quick and
High
front
volume
delts.
laterals.
Front delts.
I would do barbell front raise with a barbell upright row, 2x10, 2x15.
Two. All right, good, because I do that, and I would, but instead of 3, I'll do 2 now. Back delts.
Like rear delts, you mean?
Yeah, rear delts.
Reverse pec deck, 3x15. You could even do 4, 3 to 4x15.
Lats back.
ISO pull down.
Pull down.
ISO row, 3x10s, 3x12s.
Old school stuff. Old school stuff.
ISO though, do ISO for everyone listening. ISO.
Chest. Doesn't really matter. Just give me a chest exercise. I know there's upper and lower. But
I would do a flat and or incline chest press.
Dumbbells.
I would do 3 sets of 10.
Barbell or dumbbell?
I would do a machine, believe it or not. Now, if you're asking me, 5 years ago, I would do a bench press. I like to do the feeder sets, especially on a bench press because you're risking injury. So, I would do probably two working sets. I think is good, and then like 2 to 3 feeder sets leading up. Bench press. Keep the elbows tucked in though.
Okay.
Make sure you keep the elbows tucked in. I'm saying that to a lot of people because if your elbows are flared out, you're gonna hit your delts a lot. That's why a lot of guys say, "Why do I not hit my pecs? I'm hitting my delts." Because their elbows are flared out. If you just tuck the elbow in, it's a very slight tuck, and you'll see the pec engage. You'll feel it literally engage as you tuck that elbow in. It'll make the world of a difference on your pecs.
I'm going for it. I love that. Abs.
My body's not letting me lie about training abs, so but I'll do a hanging or a Roman chair leg raise.
You don't do abs?
Not in the off season.
Why?
Because I'm lazy. No, I'm not actually lazy, but
I thought maybe it was a secret.
No, I'll tell you why. Listen,
Why?
The reason being because I used to do them, and I would I'll do them. Do some rope crunches, which I used to love to do, and then my ab would cramp in the middle of the gym, and I had to get the fat and inflammation off, all that. I had to get all that extra fluff off before I could start doing abs. Now I'm leaner in the off season, so I don't really have that issue as much. So I'll do hanging like Roman chair leg raises. I think are those are my favorite by far. Or if you can even do a decline bench crunch. If you can just do crunches on a decline bench. Now, okay, I did that 2 weeks ago. Decline bench crunches, and there's a muscle at the top of your quad, very top, kind of near your hip almost, and it stresses because you're pulling yourself up.
Yeah,
dude, I could not walk for 2 days. It was so sore. It was my first time doing decline bench crunches in a year, and I paid the price. So I'm gonna try to do abs more just to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Okay. Bicep.
Preacher curl, 3 sets of 12.
Tricep.
Dumbbell skull crusher. The best superset I like is supersetting dumbbells with a barbell. So your first set, I got this from Big Mike from Pure. I want to give him credit for it. But the dumbbell would be you could go here and then drag it back. Yeah. Get a full tricep stretch on the way, and then press, and then you just do the bar right to your skull. Okay. Superset those. You'll be toast by the end. I would do 3 sets of those by 10.
Okay, thank you, Fancy. Forearms. Do you train forearms?
No, but if you want to do deadlifts, or if you want to do really bad form on any of your back lifts, then you'll get a really good forearm pump. Other than that, I probably wouldn't. I wouldn't worry about it too much.
Okay, quads.
I would just go with a hack squat and make sure you're bending through the knees. I'd go 2
reps.
2 to 3 sets of 8 to 10, 10 to 12.
Okay. Hammies.
Laying. I'll between laying hamstring curl 3 or 4 by 12 to 15, or an RDL. With a dumbbell. I like the dumbbell RDL, or if you get a machine RDL, or Smith machine or something like that, I would do 2 sets of 12 or 2 sets of 10 to 12.
Okay. Calves?
Standing calf raise, 4 sets of 15, 10 to 15.
Yeah. Do you train tibialis?
No.
Okay, just do that. Glutes?
Hip thrusts or RDLs are really great for glutes if you're doing a proper RDL and you're really, really flexing the glutes at the top. But I would say hip thrust. I would actually say hip thrust, superset with a goblet squat. You'll do 2 by 15 each.
I tell you what, I'm very lazy when it comes to glutes. I don't really want to. I seem to just
Do
ignore
an
it.
RDL. Just do an RDL, and you'll smash your glutes every time.
Okay, I'll do
Goblet
ideals.
squat, same thing. If you want to do goblet squat with an RDL, you want to do a little superset or lunges. Lunges are great for the glutes, and as long as you're pushing with your glutes and not through your quads, you'll get a really good glute and ham workout that way.
All right, this is the moment that we'd love you to plug yourself. So please, where can people find you? Is there anyone you want to make mention? Thank them, the gyms, whatever's going on. This is your moment. Go for it.
So you can find me at Tyler_Johnson_IFBB. I'm pretty sure that's my username across all platforms, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. I have all three going, kind of, and then my business, which is my coaching. So if you're looking for coaching, Ascension Fitness 22 is my Instagram. I have two coaches working for me as well. For those, if you're just maybe not like, oh, I don't want to take it, like if you think maybe I'm a little too intimidating, I have other people who can take you on as well. And then my sponsors, Jed North, Code Tyler. So Jed North is a clothing company. I'm actually wearing them right now. So
yeah, nice.
their shirt right now. You'll see me in a photo shoot repping them in a few days. Code Tyler for that. You can get it international, no problem. The gym I want to shout out to for hooking me up is Truth Gym. It's in Victoria. I got to the island and they welcomed me immediately. So I'm going to shout out that. Fuel supplements in Belmont in Victoria, BC as well. Langford is where I'm from. So Fuel supplements, they again got to the island and they were like, "Do you want to sponsor?" And I'm like, "Absolutely, I do." And I know I met them before, and they're really good people. And like I said, the people here are just really, really great. And I hope I'm not forgetting anything or anyone, but I think that's it for now.
Mate, like I said, I'm excited to see what's happening next with you. Like I said, you I feel like you're a star. And
appreciate that. Not quite yet.
Well, I do, and I thought and I feel like you're a big deal for us, regardless. I mean, we're a big deal, but you were a big deal for us. And I just want to thank you. Also want to, wish Abby luck. Good on you with Abby. She's amazing. Make sure you watch out for her podcast, which possibly will be next week.
I'll share it. Sure. I'll share it on my
Yeah. And I just want to say all the very best. I think you're in a great place, and thank you for everything you shared with us. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and I appreciate the questions. I appreciate having an opportunity to be authentic and a little bit more vulnerable and being able to talk to people. And I hope that your fans liked it. So if you liked it, I hope they follow me. And at the end of the day, I got Q&As and stuff going on through the year. They can ask me anything, and I'm an open book at the end of the day. And if there's an opportunity to come back on, I'll happily take it. And
what are you talking about? Definitely, man. You're going to Olympia. I mean, Jesus Christ, who doesn't want to talk to the Formula One drivers in F1, or who doesn't want to talk to the A-League in relation to soccer? I mean, there is nothing better, nothing bigger in bodybuilding than you guys going to Olympia. So, of course I'm going to talk to you, and of course I'm going to support you. You've been on our podcast. And just make sure, like I said, I'm telling you, what is success is good collaboration. And like I said, this content is for you to share. If anyone wants to know about you, like I said, it's just been, like I said, there's here you are. Here we talked about many things. So again, I wish you the absolute very best, my friend.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it.